subscribe, like the video, and, if possible, join Patreon. But if you don't have much money, you can support the channel by watching the novels on euroaudiobooks.com. Remember that you can participate in the polls so that your favorite novel gets published for free.
Douluo. Only 7 players can play in a regular team match. If Yi Lingling and Lu Haoli play at the same time, you will be the one who is substituted. Oslo's heart was pricked. Why are you sad? I was joking with you. Gao smiled and patted Oslo on the shoulder. After a moment, he said seriously, "Okay, the chat is over here. Oslo, Yufeng, and Shirmo, the 4 of you should work in 2s and quickly go to other soul fighting stages to fight souls. On the soul fighting stage, the ongoing actual combat training is a 2-person spirit fight. Yu Tianheng and Yi Lingling were in a group, standing on the left side of the soul fighting platform, and Lu Haoli and Douluo were in a group, standing on the right side of the soul fighting platform. Douluo was not used to it. She usually faced off against Lu Haoli. But now she had to stand together and form a cooperation to face the enemy together, which made her not sure what to do. "Yinzi, relax," Lu Haoli said. "We don't have to fight against each other every time. You can be in the front and I can be in the back." Douluo frowned. "Don't you take the position of both the control system and the auxiliary system at the same time? Why are you standing behind me?" "Because the output from the back is more comfortable," Lu Haoli said with ridicule. "However, you must not hold me back. If you are defeated first, I will not be able to defeat the combination of Yu Tianheng and Yi Lingling." Douluo snorted coldly and responded in the same bitter tone. "Don't worry. You are in the auxiliary department. Yu Tianheng will definitely attack you first later. Don't be killed all at once and hold me back. Lose this soul battle." "Did you beat Yu Tianheng in the previous soul fight?" Lu Haoli asked. Douluo lowered his head guiltily, then shook his head. "I never won," Lu Haoli said with a smile. "I will help you win once today." Hearing these words, Douluo suddenly felt a strange feeling in his heart. The shadow is the enemy and can cause people to feel uneasy. But after Shadow became a partner, he actually felt an inexplicable sense of security. It can avoid all kinds of damage in the Shadow state. Its attack and speed are increased, its combat power is improved, and it can launch surprise attacks on the enemy at any time. With Lu Haoli's Shadow assistance, maybe he can really defeat Yu Tianheng. Maybe the Jade Phosphorus Snake Spirit can really defeat the Blue Electric Tyrannosaurus Dragon Spirit. Why are you dazed? Quickly adjust your state. Seeing Douluo suddenly distracted, Lu Haoli reminded, "The spirit battle will begin soon. Yinzi, give me the anti-poison pill." Douluo came back from his thoughts, and his blank face immediately became serious. With a turn of his wrist, the dark green soul power aura condensed in the palm of his hand, turning into a dark green pill. It was an anti-toxic pill, a drug that allows the body to temporarily gain resistance to biphosphonate snake venom. Lu Haoli took the anti-poison pill from Douluo, stuffed it into his mouth, bit it into pieces, and said, "Give me 2 more pills." "1 pill is enough." Douluo frowned. "Why do you want so many? Do you want to eat them as candy?" Lu Haoli smiled and said, "I'm afraid that you will avenge me personally, so I will deliberately increase the poisonous mist to the strongest level to poison me during the battle." After hearing this explanation, Douluo felt crazy. She felt that she could not stay with Lu Haoli for too long. Otherwise, she would be angry to death sooner or later. But she had no choice but to condense 2 more anti-poison pills. Lu Haoli took the 2 anti-poison pills thrown by Douluo and stuffed them into his belt. He was not afraid of Douluo's personal revenge, but took the opportunity to get the anti-poison pills so that he could travel through the Sunset Forest more safely in the future. The Jade Phosphorus Snake Venom Array set up by Douluo at the same time. On the left side of the soul fighting stage, Yu Tianheng and Yi Lingling were also ready to fight. The Phantom of the Blue Electric Tyrannosaurus Rex appeared. Yu Tianheng's right fist was wrapped with thunder and lightning. The second soul skill Thunder Wanjun was used together with the first soul skill Thunder Dragon Claw. The fist turned into a dragon claw and suddenly hit the floor. The dragon claw, the entangled thunder and lightning came out of his hand and converged on the ground where Yi Lingling was. For a moment, with Yi Lingling as the center, The surface of the ground with a radius of 5 meters was covered with a dense layer of electric current. The electric light flickered on the ground, protecting Yi Lingling like a thunder net. Seeing this, Douluo Yin reminded Lu Baoyan, "You must not come out from Lingling's shadow to attack her later. Because she is surrounded by electric fields, your shadow state is not immune to abnormal conditions such as paralysis or poisoning. If you approach Lingling rashly, you will be paralyzed by the electric field. If we don't defeat Yi Lingling first, Yu Tianheng will have unlimited physical strength to maintain the thunder and lightning increase of the third soul skill." "How are we going to fight?" Lu Haoli asked. "You ask me?" Anger gradually appeared on Douluo Yan's face, and the inexplicable sense of security in his heart suddenly disappeared. "Didn't you just say that you would help me win once? Can you be more reliable?" Before the two of them finished speaking, Shigao in the audience shouted, "The preparation time is over. You guys, start fighting souls." As soon as the voice fell, Yu Tianheng took the lead. 3 soul rings flashed out. His body was wrapped around the Thunder Dragon. His right arm, covered with dragon scales, suddenly waved towards the sky. Countless thunder and lightning arrows shot up into the sky. With just one kick, Yu Tianheng had already disappeared on the spot. The next moment, someone appeared in front of Lu Haoli without anyone noticing. Priority was given to getting rid of the auxiliary system in team battles. This was the consensus among the Soul Masters. Chapter 31 Shadow vs. Blue Electric Tyrannosaurus Rex 3. The next moment, Yu Tianheng appeared in front of Lu Haoli without anyone noticing. In team battles, the auxiliary system was given priority to be eliminated. This was the consensus among the Soul Masters. Dense thunder and lightning flashed in front of his eyes, and Lu Haoli also completed the release of 2 soul skills at this moment. The first soul skill, Shadow Lock, and the second soul skill, Shadow Attack, acted on him and Douluo Yin at the same time. Just as Yu Tianheng's Dragon Claw was slapping his face in the side, Lu Haoli escaped into the ground and turned into a black shadow. Not only did he avoid Yu Tianheng's Dragon Claw attack, but he also quickly moved towards Yi Lingling's position in the posture of a black shadow. "Swim away." Seeing this, Yu Tianheng was not afraid to laugh back, because he knew clearly that Lu Bao's second soul skill Shadow Attack could be immune to physical attacks, but it was not immune to soul skill attacks or abnormal conditions such as paralysis, poisoning, and burns. The electric field released by the blue electric Tyrannosaurus Rex was covered under Yi Lingling's feet. Once Lu Bao appeared from Yi Lingling's shadow, he would be paralyzed by the electric field first, and his own speed could allow him to quickly return to defense and then paralyze the paralyzed person. Lu Bao knocked down the soul fighting platform. This is Yu Tianheng's method of protecting Yi Lingling. However, Douluo Yin had already informed Lu Haoli of this method in advance. But why did Lu Haoli still attack Yi Lingling? That's because he can not only emerge from other people's shadows and attack others, but he can also make other people's shadows come alive. If Lu Haoli wanted to kill someone, he didn't need to do it himself. Other people's shadows would work for him. While quickly approaching Yi Lingling in his shadow state, Lu Haoli used his third soul skill, Shadow Control, to strangle. I saw the shadow at Yi Lingling's feet suddenly flashing, coiling up from her feet as if alive, and wrapping around her body with a strong binding force until she reached her neck. Douluo Yin, who was fighting Yu Tianheng in the shadow state, noticed the changes in Yi Lingling and felt a chill in her heart. In the last soul fight, she was instantly killed by Lu Bao's move. It seemed that Yi Lingling was about to follow suit. She followed suit. "Tianheng, if you don't help Lingling, you will lose this soul battle." Douluo Yin turned into a shadow and escaped to the surface, distanced himself from Yu Tianheng, and deliberately reminded, "The binding power of shadow control strangulation, it's extremely strong and it strangles the neck, so it's impossible for Lingling to break free." Yu Tianheng smiled faintly. "Yin, I watched the 2 battles between you and Lu Haoli carefully. Even you were defeated by Lu Haoli's shadow control and strangulation. How could I not know the danger that Lingling is facing at this moment?" Excellent overall view and combat awareness are not only possessed by control system soul masters like you. Lingling is indeed unable to break away from Lu Haoli's shadow on her own. But don't forget that the electric field under her feet is the thunder and lightning released by the blue electric Tyrannosaurus. Isn't the top beast martial spirit blue, electric Tyrannosaurus, just in vain? The moment Yu Tianheng's words fell, the electric current all over Yi Lingling's feet suddenly became violent. Countless electric currents converged towards Yi Lingling's feet. The powerful thunder and lightning breath actually directly electrified the shadow wrapped around Yi Lingling's body and neck. Turning into powder, Yi Lingling just broke free from the shackles of the shadow control strangulation. Seeing this scene, Lu Haoli jumped out of the ground, changed from his shadow state back to his human form, and stopped trying to get closer to Yi Lingling. He really didn't expect that Yu Tianheng was so skilled in the use of thunder and lightning, nor did he expect that the thunder and lightning released by the blue lightning tyrant dragon spirit would have such overbearing and destructive power. There is only 2 levels of soul power difference between them, but Yu Tianheng's thunder and lightning easily shattered Lu Haoli's shadow control. This is enough to show that the blue lightning tyrant dragon spirit is far more powerful than the jade phosphorus snake spirit, or that it is unmatched by any kind of beast spirit. You must know that it is close to noon, the moment when the sun is the strongest. Under the strong light, the potential of the shadow martial spirit is no less than that of the top martial spirit. But in front of the real top martial arts, he was still trying to do whatever he wanted. At this moment, Lu Haoli had a better understanding of the shadow martial spirit. In terms of speed and control, the shadow martial spirit was undoubtedly the top existence, but it was slightly inferior in strength. If you want shadow to gain power comparable to that of the blue electric Tyrannosaurus, I'm afraid only fairy grass can do it. However, Lu Haoli still has an advantage. Yu Tianheng's 3 soul rings were all obtained by hunting subdragon soul beasts. The power of his soul skills is very powerful. However, in terms of the power of soul skills, Lu Haoli's 3 soul rings have completely different skills. Not bad. The first soul ring is limited to 500 years, the second soul ring is limited to 900 years, and the third soul ring is limited to 3,000 years. Lu Haoli's 3 soul rings are older than Yu Tianheng's 3 soul rings, so their potential is greater than Yu Tianheng's soul skills. The gap between the quality of martial spirits, if the difference in soul power level is not big, can often be made up by the quality of the soul rings. As long as the right time is found, the shadow martial spirit can also subdue the thunder and lightning power of the blue and electric Tyrannosaurus Rex martial spirit. At this moment, a voice sounded from Douluo Yan's head. That was the message Lu Haoli conveyed to Douluo Yan through his shadow. After receiving the news, Douluo Yan, who was fighting Yu Tianheng, laughed secretly in her heart. She admitted that Lu Haoli's fighting talent was far better than hers, because it was impossible for her to think of such a good idea. The news that Lu Haoli sent to Douluo Yan was about how to use shadow to control Yu Tianheng. This method requires her jade phosphorus snake venom mist to cooperate with the shadow. Once the jade phosphorus snake venom mist and shadow form dual control, the winner of this spirit battle will almost be determined. Yu Tianheng didn't understand why there was a smile on Douluo Yan's face, but he still shook his head regretfully. Yin, it's a pity. If you were in a team with me, you would win. No, Douluo Yan smiled proudly. Tianheng, you lost. This is the news that Lu Haoli asked me to convey to you. Hearing this, Yu Tianheng became angry. He knew that Lu Haoli must have conveyed some information to Douluo Yan through his shadow. The two of them actually used shadows to communicate in front of him and got along so harmoniously. It was simply hateful. It was so uncomfortable to see the woman he was chasing chatting so happily with other men in front of him, and he couldn't even hear what they were talking about. Yu Tianheng was usually calm, but that didn't mean he wasn't. Understand anger and jealousy. At this moment, the thunder and lightning that flashed across Yu Tianheng's body was his mood. He wanted to use thunder and lightning to tear Lu Haoli's shadow into pieces. He wanted to use this fighting spirit to tell Lu Haoli that he was the strongest in this team. That one, he is the captain. The third soul skill, Thunder's Fury. Yu Tianheng roared loudly, and the countless electric currents coiled around his body were amplified at the same time. His eyes were filled with the light of thunder and lightning, as if his whole person had entered a state of rage. Chapter 32, Shadow vs. Blue Electric Tyrannosaurus Rex 4. This is exactly the effect of the third soul skill, Wrath of Thunder. The terrifying thunder and lightning caused the blue lightning tyrant dragon soul master to temporarily go berserk. The attack power increased by 100%, the power of thunder and lightning increased by 100%, and the soul power increased by 50%. If you don't stop actively, it will continue until your physical strength is exhausted. However, with the healing assistance of Jioshin Haidang, the shortcomings of Thunder Fury's continuous consumption of physical strength can be almost ignored. In other words, at this moment, Yu Qianheng, with the assistance of Yi Lingling, not only doubled his strength, but also was always in a state of physically at its best. Lu Baobao tried to activate the Shadow Exchange to exchange Yu Tianheng's shadow with Yi Lingling's shadow. In this way, Yi Lingling would appear in Yu Tianheng's position and leave the electric field that protected her. Not being protected by the electric field means that Lu Baobao can use his shadow to control Yi Lingling and interrupt Jushin Haitan's assistance to Yu Tianheng. But just when Lu Baohai locked onto Yi Lingling's shadow, the electric field at Yi Lingling's feet became denser in an instant after being amplified by 100% of the lightning power of Wrath of Thunder. Some electric currents shot up into the sky like a fountain to form a barrier, completely shattering it. He discovered that Lu's soul skill had adversely affected Yi Lingling. The shadow exchange failed. At the same time, Yu Qianheng had turned into a bolt of lightning and soared into the air. He twisted his body in the air and shouted at Lu Bao's back, second soul skill, thunderous. The countless snake electricity coiled around the body suddenly exploded, turning into countless thunder and lightning arrows that flashed out in all directions. With a 100% increase in thunder and lightning power from Thunder Fury, his second soul skill, Thunderbolt, exploded with unparalleled attack power. Strong thunder rays exploded from Yu Tianheng's body, flying towards Lu Baobao with countless thunder and lightning around him. Seeing the lightning that was coming quickly, Lu Haoli immediately turned into a shadow and escaped to the surface, swimming quickly in the direction of Douluo Yin. He had a speed increase of 50% compared to his second soul skill shadow attack, and there was such a strong sun. Just as a support player, Lu Hao's speed has completely surpassed Oslo's agility and attack type. Violent lightning rays exploded on the ground, and countless electric currents spread throughout the field, covering most of the soul fighting stage in an instant. Fortunately, Lu Bao was fast enough and escaped to the range covered by the electric current in time, and entered the poisonous green phosphorus red mist released by Douluo Yin. The poisonous green phosphorus red mist covering a 10-meter radius can have a very good protective effect. The fishy smell and toxic particulate matter mixed with the poisonous mist kept out the smell of thunder and lightning, and the feeling of numbness mixed in the air. And when Lu Bao took the anti-venom pill given by Douluo Yin, he didn't have to worry about being harmed by the venom of the jade phosphorus snake when entering the poisonous mist. Seeing that his attack failed, Yu Qianheng bit unwillingly. He had thought that Lu Bao had a speed comparable to that of the agility attack system, but he never expected that Lu Bao could easily dodge the unexpected full blow. From this point of view, Lu Hao has been practicing hard these days, and his shadow martial spirit is already very different from when he first joined the academy. Could it be that mimicry training has such a great impact on the shadow martial spirit? After releasing the second soul skill, Yu Tianheng, who was stagnant in mid-air, began to pant, and his physical strength and soul power were obviously weakened. Suddenly, Yi Lingling's third soul ring lit up. The nine-hearted begonia martial soul bloomed. Countless petals fell from the sky, and a faint fragrance lingered around Yu Tianheng's body. In an instant, all his lost physical strength was restored, although Yi Lingling's treatment cannot restore soul power. But restoring physical strength is enough. Yu Qianheng didn't want to waste his soul power to release his soul skills, because he couldn't hit Lu Bao at all. Since there is no need for soul skills, the soul power should be used to strengthen the Dragon Claw. With the 100% attack power of Thunder Fury and the increase of thunder and lightning power, the Dragon Claw only needs to hit once to completely defeat Lu Baoli. While planning the next battle, Yu Tianheng had safely landed on the soul fighting platform. At the moment when Yu Tianheng's foot stepped on the floor, Douluo Yan's third soul skill that had been prepared for a long time was finally used, and a breath of lavender gas was gently exhaled from his mouth. In an instant, For groups of purple mist condensed out in the four directions of Tianheng, east, west, north, and south at extremely fast speeds. The four groups of purple mist floated like clouds and did not spread outward. They just floated quietly in Tianheng like a marshmallow. The four directions of Tianheng. After these days of hard work, Douluo Yin has become proficient in controlling soul power, so she can make the green phosphorus and purple poisonous mist appear in this way. Before Tianheng could figure out what was going on with the four clouds of purple mist floating around him, Lu Baobai's voice rang out in the green phosphorus red poisonous mist. Pay attention to your footing. These simple words made Tianheng's heart tighten, a chill run down his spine, and he immediately looked down at his feet. Suddenly, he froze and couldn't move his body. What on earth is going on? It's Lu Baolan's shadow. Tianheng tried to activate the thunder and lightning wrapped around his body to break the shadow's control, but found that there was no thunder and lightning wrapped around his body, and the power of thunder and lightning was obviously weakened. The shadow martial spirit actually suppressed the thunder and lightning of the blue lightning Tyrannosaurus. After struggling for a while, Tianheng realized that he was not just being immobilized by the shadow at this moment. The four clouds of purple mist suspended in the four directions of Tianheng's east, west, north, and south produced shadows in the sunlight. Lu Baoyan connected the four shadows of purple mist with Tianheng's shadow to form a balance of four forces, making the effect of the shadow immobilization stronger. In order for his shadow to break free from the constraints of immobilization, Tianheng must use 4 times more power than before. Unfortunately, he does not have this ability, so it is naturally impossible for him to break away from the shadow fixation. Besides, how could Douluo Yin, who is also a control soul master, give Tianheng a chance to break free? With a change of soul power, the four clouds of phosphorus poisonous purple mist floating in the four directions of Tianheng finally changed. The four clouds of purple mist exploded instantly, and the purple mist spread towards Tianheng's position at an extremely fast speed. In the blink of an eye, Tianheng was submerged by the purple mist coming from four directions. In the state of shadow immobilization, Tianheng could not move an inch, and could only bear the erosion of snake venom in the strong green phosphorus and purple poisonous mist. Use the shadow of the phosphorus and purple poisonous mist to strengthen the shadow immobilization effect, and then use the shadow immobilization effect to increase the hit rate of the poisonous mist. This is the message Lu Baobua conveyed to Douluo Yin. As long as the phosphorus poisonous mist and the shadow form a double without control, Tianheng could only surrender. At the critical moment, Yi Lingling's nine-hearted begonia martial spirit was activated again, and along with a faint fragrance, white light turned into countless petals and fell from the sky, passing through the green phosphorus and purple poisonous mist, and landed directly on Tianheng, blended into his body lightly. The body, corroded by the green phosphorus and purple poison, was covered with a layer of white light. Under the treatment of Jushin Haidang martial spirit, all the wounds on Tianheng's body miraculously healed quickly, and his whole face looked better. His physical strength returned to its best, and violent thunder and lightning flashed across his body again. The second soul skill is Thunderbolt. A burst of dragon roar sounded in the green phosphorus and purple poisonous mist. Thunderlight flickered in the purple mist. The countless snakes and lightning coiled around Tianheng's body amplified at the same time. The next moment, they turned into countless thunder and lightning arrows and flashed in all directions. When he came out, he forcibly exploded the green phosphorus and purple poisonous mist that drowned him as soon as possible, and most of the thunder and lightning arrows formed by the thunder flew towards the location of Douluo Yin. All of this was too sudden. Douluo Yin did not have a speed comparable to that of the agility attack system like Lu Baoyan. Even though she had a 50% speed increase of a second soul skill shadow attack at the moment, the Jade Phosphorus Snake was not very outstanding after all, due to its speed attribute. Even if it turns into a shadow and escapes to the surface, it will still be attacked by the power of thunder and lightning. In the blink of an eye, the lightning flashed before Douluo Yin's eyes, making her unable to avoid him. At this time, Lu Badai's team fighting ability was fully demonstrated. But don't forget, in addition to playing the role of a control soul master, he is also an auxiliary soul master. He not only provides assistance to his teammates in turning into shadows, but also assist them to evacuate unavoidable dangers in time. All the soul power was injected into the soul rings. The first and third soul rings were spinning wildly under his feet. Lu Bao locked the shadows of Douluo Yin and Yu Tianheng and activated the third soul skill Shadow Control. Just when the lightning rays were about to bombard Douluo Yin's body, Douluo Yin's shadow and Yu Tianheng's shadow swapped places. Douluo Yin suddenly appeared at Yu Tianheng's position, and Yu Tianheng came to Douluo Yin's position and endured the bombardment of lightning rays released by himself on her behalf. Intense lightning exploded on the soul fighting platform, and countless electric currents were mixed into the air, giving people a numb feeling, as if fireworks were exploding in the daytime. When Yu Tianheng launched the attack, all he could think about was defeating the opponent. How could he have thought that Lu Bao still had this skill left in him? Facing the lightning bombardment he released, although Yu Tianheng had the ability to withstand lightning, he was still injured by the impact of the lightning explosion and half-knelt on the ground. When Douluo Yin appeared at Yu Tianheng's position, he looked confused. It wasn't until the lightning ray exploded on Yu Tianheng that he realized that it was Lu Bao's shadow exchange. The dazzling thunderlight continued to flash for a few seconds, and Lu Haoli turned into a shadow and came to Douluo Yin's side. "Are you okay?" "It's okay." Douluo Yin looked at Lu Bao with disbelief in her eyes. This was the inexplicable sense of security that arose in her heart. With Lu Bao's presence, she didn't even need to think about avoiding the attack. Lu Bao would automatically help her resolve it. After a moment of silence, Douluo Yin continued, "Thank you." Lu Bao nodded. Previously, Yu Tianheng was protected by the power of thunder and lightning, and it was impossible for the shadow martial spirit to control his shadow. Just now, he was able to control Yu Tianheng's shadow and exchange places with Douluo Yin's shadow. It didn't mean that Lu Bao had become stronger, but that Yu Tianheng's soul power had become weaker. Jiuxin Haidang can only heal injuries and restore physical strength, but cannot restore soul power. Is the most important thing for a soul master to have inexhaustible physical strength? No, it's soul power. Inexhaustible physical strength can be used to its best effect in bed, while inexhaustible soul power is what is most needed on the battlefield. Seeing that Yu Tianheng was injured and staggered to his feet, with the lightning on his body obviously weakening, Douluo Yin reminded him, "Tianheng, you lose." This sentence was what Lu Baoyan once said to Douluo Yin. When he said this sentence, Douluo Yin realized how happy he felt in his heart. He failed to defeat Lu Baolan, but he defeated Yu Tianheng. This made Douluo Yin couldn't help but feel happy. The Jade Phosphorus Snake Spirit could defeat the top-notch blue Electric Tyrannosaurus Spirit. If her grandfather Douluo Bone knew this, must be happy to death. It was also at this moment that Douluo Yin truly realized the big gap between herself and Lu Baoyan. She now knew clearly that no matter how hard she tried, she could not defeat Lu Baoyan, because Lu Baoyan was not only powerful in shadow martial arts soul, an excellent ability to control the battle situation. Being an opponent with Lu Baoyan would make Douluo Yin feel frustrated, but becoming a teammate with him made him feel so relaxed. This sense of security and self-confidence was something that Yi Lingling could not give when he was assisting. With Lu Bao's presence, he was not injured by the lightning ray just now. With Lu Bao's presence, he could win for once. When he looked at Lu Baoyan again, Douluo Yin's eyes were obviously different from before. They were no longer glaring, but had a touch of softness. Chapter 33 Shadow vs. Blue, Electric Tyrannosaurus Rex, 5. You lose. After hearing these words, Yu Tianheng finally realized how Douluo Yin felt when he was defeated by Lu Baoyan. He was unwilling to accept defeat, his chest was heavy, and he was unwilling to accept failure. Various emotions impacted his brain and body, making his whole body hot and his thoughts confused. However, that's all. Yu Tianheng is a person who refuses to admit defeat, but he can understand the situation. He only has 1/3 of his soul power left, and the power of thunder and lightning is no longer enough to hurt Lu Bao and Douluo Yin, and he can no longer protect Yi Lingling. In this situation, we are indeed losing. Just when Yu Tianheng was about to admit defeat, a beautiful voice sounded on the soul fighting stage. "Tianheng, we haven't lost yet." Lu Baoyan and Douluo Yin looked towards the voice, and it was Yi Lingling who spoke. At this moment, Yi Lingling's hands touched the nine-hearted begonia martial spirit, and his feet were still covered with the electric field released by the blue electric Tyrannosaurus Rex. In Yi Lingling's eyes, Lu Baoyan saw Douluo Yan's unyielding obsession at that time. Unexpectedly, he didn't even have any fighting ability. Yi Lingling, who doesn't have one, is also a person who doesn't give up easily. Ling Ling, give up. Douluo Yan put his hands on his waist and said with a smile, "If you lose, you lose." What does this mean? You still have to practice, right, Lu Bao? Lu Baolan gave a somewhat surprised hum. Normally, Yi Lingling's face and eyes would not show any emotion, but now there was unprecedented heat and determination in her eyes. Don't people without fighting ability deserve to have the desire for victory? Can auxiliary soul masters be competitive and competitive? Yi Lingling refused to admit defeat, not because she was unwilling to accept defeat. She just wanted to prove that she was no worse than Lu Bao in terms of support. Yu Tianheng's strength is the most powerful being in the entire team. If his assisting ability is as good as everyone said, then Yu Tianheng should be even more powerful and invincible with his assistance. But why did he lose so miserably? Not only did he not help Yu Tianheng, but he distracted him from protecting himself and became a drag on others. Yi Lingling had never thought about proving herself before. Perhaps it was because Lu Baobao joined the team as an auxiliary soul master that caused her to have various complicated emotions. Being competitive was a common problem among every soul master. Yi Lingling originally felt that she had no desires and only wanted to treat her companions when they were injured and encourage them when they were confused. But only now did she realize that she was not a saint. She would also fall into confusion, doubt herself, and want to prove that she was worthy of the title of genius. Tianheng, we all still have soul power. We have not lost. What are we afraid of a little setback? Yi Lingling's voice was very calm, but it gave people an extremely firm feeling. As long as we don't admit defeat, we will win. Opportunity. Having said that, the nine-hearted begonia bloomed in her hand. Brilliant colored light flashed in the unfolded petals. 3 soul rings rotated under her feet, and the breath of soul power lingered around Yi Lingling's body, along with the fragrance of the flowers. Xin Haitong's martial spirit slowly floated into the sky. The purple soul ring spun faster, and countless petals fell on Yu Tianheng, causing his somewhat bruised face to completely recover and his physical strength to return to its best condition. The auxiliary soul master didn't even say that he would admit defeat. So how could the attack type as a team admit defeat to the enemy? Yu Tianheng clenched his fists. After receiving encouragement and treatment from Yi Lingling, the fighting spirit in his eyes and the lost physical strength returned. Lingling, you are right. As long as we don't admit defeat, we still have a chance to win. The thunder and lightning wrapped around his body flashed violently again. Yu Tianheng devoted all his strength to using the third soul skill, Thunder Fury, and all the remaining soul power was exhausted. As a blue lightning dragon soul master, even if he died in battle, he could never admit defeat. Come again! With a sharp roar, Yu Tianheng rushed towards Lu Baoyan and Douluo Yan. But the moment Yu Tianheng took a step forward, Lu Baobao quietly emerged from Yi Lingling's shadow, kicked her in the face, and kicked her out of the soul fighting platform, smashing her hard. Get off the ground. Everything was so sudden. It wasn't until Yi Lingling sat down on the ground that Douluo Yan and Yu Tianheng realized that Yi Lingling had fallen off the soul fighting platform and was disqualified from fighting. The one who reacted the most was Yu Tianheng. Yi Lingling was within the electric field he released, and Lu Baobao appeared within the scope of the electric field. How could he not be paralyzed by the strong current? Upon closer inspection, I discovered that the electric field no longer existed. Yu Tianheng suddenly realized that it turned out that he had just released all his soul power to perform the third soul skill, Wrath of Thunder. As a result, he was short of soul power and could no longer maintain the electric field to protect Yi Lingling. Therefore, Lu Bao took advantage of the situation and killed Yi Lingling. Kicked out of the soul fighting platform. Ling Ling! Douluo Yan jumped off the stage and helped Yi Lingling up. Are you okay? Yi Lingling helped Douluo Yan to stand up. He was stunned for a while before realizing that he was already outside the soul fighting stage and was kicked off the stage by Lu Baoyan. Lost. Yi Langling felt guilty. Yu Qianheng, as the most outstanding young soul master in the academy, had never lost in a battle of the same level. However, in today's practical class, the two-person soul fight was defeated because of her assistance. Even she, an auxiliary soul master, was unwilling to accept this fact, let alone the pride of being a member of the Blue Lightning Tyrant Dragon sect. Looking closely at Lu Baolon, who was standing on the edge of the soul fighting stage, Yi Lingling wanted to redeem the defeat for Yu Tianheng. How about we play another round of soul fighting? Get out of class is over. Lu Baolai looked back at Yi Lingling and said, let's end the spirit fight today. As soon as the voice fell, the college bell rang. The practical class is over. It's time for lunch and rest. After eating, the students returned to their dormitories to rest. On the way to the dormitory, Douluo Yin found that Yi Lingling was silent and seemed to be in a very low mood. Although this was Yi Lingling's normal situation, Douluo Yin clearly felt something different this time, perhaps because of his defeat in the morning. While reviewing the two-person soul fighting in the morning's practical class, Douluo Yin was very happy. He didn't expect that with Lu Bao's help, he actually won against the combination of Yu Tianheng and Yi Lingling. At the same time, she was also troubled because both Yu Tianheng and Yi Lingling were hailed as one of the most outstanding geniuses in Tiando Royal Academy like herself, and almost all of them had never failed in spirit fighting at the same level. But since Lu Baojun joined the academy, everyone suffered their first defeat. At that time, Douluo Yin felt frustrated when she lost to Lu Baoyan. She must have felt frustrated when Yi Lingling lost this time. What's more, with her help, Yu Tianheng, the strongest player in the team, was also defeated. The blow must have been greater. Lingling, you really worked hard in the two-person soul fight this morning. Douluo Yin tried to comfort Yi Lingling. But to Yi Lingling, these words not only failed to comfort her, but made her feel even more guilty. Yes, after working so hard, I still lost. Moreover, Yu Tianheng, who has never failed before, I also lost to you because of my support. I'm very sorry for him. Douluo Yin said, actually, Lu Baoyan and I were lucky enough to beat you and Tianheng. Lu Baoyan said that his shadow martial spirit is closely related to the intensity of light. The stronger the light, the stronger the shadow. It was just right at that time it's near noon, when the sun's rays are strongest, so he behaves so fiercely. If we fight souls at night, Lu Bao and I will definitely not be able to beat you and Tianheng. Yin Yin, thank you for your comfort. Yi Lingling walked to the door of his dormitory, opened the door, and smiled lightly. Don't worry, I'm fine. After saying that, he walked into the dormitory. After watching Yi Lingling close the door, Douluo Yin returned to his dormitory. She knew that her mouth could only curse, and she was not as good at comforting and encouraging others as Lu Bao. Douluo Yin thought to himself that he had suffered from frustration after losing twice in a row. It was Lu Bao's help in psychological counseling that allowed him to survive that failure. Perhaps, in order for Yi Lingling to completely eliminate the confusion in his heart and get back on his feet, Lu Bao, who is full of truth, needs to take action. Late at night, boys' dormitory, rooftop. At the end of the day's practice, at this time, the students are all sleeping in their respective dormitories. Lu Haoli left the dormitory and went to the roof of the building. He sat cross-legged and held the crystal ball in his hands. As the soul power was poured into the crystal ball, the light blue soul power breath also emanated from the body and lingered around. Under the influence of the crystal ball, the intensity of the moonlight shining on Lu Baoli was comparable to that of the sun at noon. The enhanced moonlight was not as intense as the sun's rays, but it had a considerable auxiliary effect on the training of the shadow martial spirit. In addition, there are mountains and forests near the dormitory, and the ground reflects the shadows of various plants and buildings. In such an environment, the training effect of the mimic field can be fully exerted. Ever since he discovered that the light-filled room was Qian Rinxue's exclusive property, Lu Bao never stepped foot into that room again. Every afternoon, the mimicry practice is carried out in the grassland mimicry field near the dean's building. With the assistance of the crystal ball, the practice effect is also good. However, Lu Baoyang still couldn't forget the light-filled room. It was like being used to watching TV dramas at double speed and then suddenly switching back to normal mode feeling that everything had slowed down. Although with the assistance of the mimic training field and the crystal ball, Lu Bao's training speed was much faster than ordinary people, but he still felt that the speed of soul power improvement was too slow, perhaps because the light energy was not strong enough, and the shadow martial soul seemed to no longer have what a noticeable change. Now, Lu Baoyan practices with the help of moonlight every night, so that he can feel more at ease. Or maybe it's time to go to Sunset Forest and see if you can get some fairy grass. The original work said that with the assistance of fairy grass, the Soul Master's training speed will increase. These days, I've learned a lot about biphosphorus snake venom from Douluo, and I have also obtained 2 anti-venom pills that can temporarily gain the body's resistance to biphosphorus snake venom. With the displacement ability of the shadow martial spirit, a certain understanding of poison, and the protection of the anti-poison pill, it is not a problem to pass through the poison array set up by Douluo in the Sunset Forest. The threat from the soul beasts in the Sunset Forest can be ignored. After all, the forest is full of shadows. Except for soul beasts that also have shadow abilities, no soul beast can easily pose a threat to Lu Haoli in places with many shadows. What is needed now is a living creature storage soul guide that can store fairy grass. Chapter 34 Shui Kingi's Invitation. I heard from you Tianheng and the others that storage soul guides are sold at auctions in Tiando City, but soul guides that can store living creatures are very rare. If you want to find a living creature storage soul guide, you need to not only it takes a lot of money and a certain amount of luck. Lu Haoli thought that the gold soul coin subsidy issued by the college was enough to allow him to have enough food and clothing. But wanting to buy things at the Tiando auction house was obviously a bit of a fantasy. What is needed most right now is money. Only with money can one buy a soul guide, or they could obtain the soul tool through other means, such as relying on others to give it to them. Previously, Douluo owed Lu Bao a bet, which was to find a treasure from her grandfather Douluo and give it to Lu Bao. Maybe you can rely on this bet to get a storage soul guide that can store living things. If it really doesn't work, I can only rely on Shui Kingi to appreciate myself and get what I want from him. A few hours later, after the meditation, Lu Baoyan slowly opened his eyes. What he saw was not the night scene, but Douluo's green eyes. Yinzi, Lu Baoyan was startled by the sudden appearance of Douluo in front of him. Why are you here again? Are you addicted to breaking into the boys' dormitory without permission? Believe it or not, I will report you to the 3 education committee members. Douluo was not afraid to laugh back. Then you go and sue. Anyway, the 3 education committee members won't do anything to me. Lu Baoyan couldn't laugh or cry in her heart. With Douluo supporting her behind her back, the 3 education committee members really didn't dare to do anything to her. Can a grandpa with a title Douluo really do whatever he wants? By the way, Yinzi, let me ask you something. Lu Baoyan suddenly remembered. Last time your grandfather came to the academy to visit you, I found a blue bag hanging on his waist. I know that bag. Is it called the Rui Treasure Bag, a special soul guide that can store living creatures? Hearing Lu Haoli's question, Douluo thought for a moment before replying. Probably not. It's just an ordinary sachet. The herbal fragrance emitted by the sachet can cover up the phosphorus snake spirit master's body to a certain extent. It smells poisonous. My grandfather has a ring soul guide that can store living things. Many of the poisonous things he raised are stored in that ring. But I have never heard him talk about a wish-fulfilling treasure bag. Isn't that a brocade bag? Lu Bao remembered that the brocade bag-like soul guide that Douluo gave to Tang San in the original novel was probably called the Rui 100 treasure bag. In this timeline, Douluo probably hasn't given the Rui 100 treasure bag to Tang San yet. A wishful treasure bag? After pondering for a moment, Douluo suddenly realized. Your previous bet said that you wanted me to give you a treasure. Could it be that you wanted a similar storage soul guide? Lu Bao nodded. Don't even think about it if it's a soul guide that stores living things. Douluo said, my grandfather only has a multifunctional soul guide ring that can store living and dead things. When I took his ring before, he was angry. He said that the ring was very important to him and could not be used indiscriminately. He also said that he would go to the auction house to buy the best soul tool in the world and give it to me. As he spoke, Douluo walked to sit down next to Lu Baoyan and continued. This was the agreement 2 years ago. Until now, my grandfather has not given me a decent storage soul guide. He has been talking about it all day long. He is practicing and improving his poison skills. So he probably forgot about this agreement. Besides, he probably sent me to the academy because he was afraid that I would disturb his practice at home. Lu Baoyan looked at the change in Douluo Yan's expression when he told her story. He felt that Douluo Yan was very different at this moment from before. At least there was a clear change in his attitude. Although he still acted strong, his eyes were a little softer. No more coldness. Maybe she was recalling the past with her grandfather. Lu Baoli vaguely remembered that Douluo's son died due to the backlash of phosphorus snake venom, leaving only Douluo Yan as his granddaughter. As for Douluo Yan, Douluo was the only relative left. On weekdays, if Douluo stayed in Sunset Forest all day practicing and refining poison, he would have less time to accompany Douluo Yan. Douluo Yan often stayed in the college again, and the number of meetings with Douluo became less and less. This pair of grandfather and granddaughter, who depend on each other for life, are probably bathing in the moonlight at this moment, looking at the moon in the sky, and missing each other. There was a trace of sadness on Lu Baoyan's face, and he stared at the night sky. The moon was particularly bright tonight. He had been away from his original world for 4 months, and had slowly adapted to the life of a soul master today. Anyone who has some feelings would miss his relatives and friends in the past. Traveling from Douluo Star to Douluo continent, unlike Tang San, who had a father named Douluo, he didn't have the background of the No. One sect in the world. He didn't have relatives and friends to help him, and he didn't have anyone trustworthy by his side. He didn't have enough strength to intimidate others, so he had to rely on his own careful calculation to get whatever he wanted. He thought that the light-filled room was an opportunity arranged by God, but unexpectedly, it was Qian Rinshua's territory. Once you encounter difficulties, you will fall into confusion. Without any relatives and friends to provide encouragement and help, this feeling of helplessness and loneliness is really uncomfortable. How come you still make yourself into an emo after enjoying the moon? Lu Baoyan sighed and looked at Douluo Yan, only to find that Douluo Yan had been staring at him. What are you doing? Lu Bao asked. Douluo Yan's green eyes never blinked. She stared at Lu Baoli's eyes with curiosity and joked with a smile. So you also have times when you are helpless and confused. Lu Bao smiled. By the way, Lu Bao, you were too cruel in the 2-person soul fighting class in the practical class this morning, Douluo Yan suddenly said. When Lingling and I returned to the dormitory at noon, I could feel that she had been hit hard. What does it have to do with me? Lu Liang was puzzled. Lingling is a person who is cold on the outside and hot on the inside. She usually seems not to care about anything, but in fact she cares about other people's feelings more than anyone else. The 2-person soul fight in the morning was Yu Tianhing's first defeat in the practical class. Lingling must be she feels that it was her fault that led to Yu Tianhing's defeat, and he fell into self-blame. Douluo Yan frowned. Besides, it was you who kicked Ling off the soul fighting platform. If she doesn't admit defeat, of course I will kick her off the stage to end the spirit fight. Lu Bao said. What? Do you want me to knock her out like I beat you? You still dare to mention this? Wait. One day I will beat you back. After an angry reply, Douluo Yan lamented. Ever since you joined the team and performed so well, Lingling has always been a depressed look. Lu Baoyang was helpless. Even if I didn't join the team, she would still be in such a lifeless state. This time is obviously different, Douluo Yan said. She must have felt frustrated. I felt the same way when I lost to you. I wanted to comfort her, but I didn't know how to do it. Lu Baoyan, do you want to give Lingling some psychological counseling? Didn't you help me in the same way last time? You lost 2 games to me in a row and got confused, so I gave you psychological counseling. Today, you Lingling lost to me and got confused, so I went to enlighten her. Next time Yu Tianhing loses and gets confused, I will also go to enlighten him. If Oslo or Yufeng loses and is confused, should I go to enlighten him? Lu Liang said seriously. I am a soul master, not a psychological counselor. I still have a lot of things to do, so there is no need to care about your feelings every day, right? When I am confused, who will comfort me and help me? Doing psychological counseling? After hearing these words, Douluo Yan fell silent. She felt that Lu Baoyang was right. Lu Baoyang did not have the obligation to take into account everyone's feelings, nor did he have the responsibility to enlighten others. This is a matter of mentality, not Lu Bao's fault. The blame is that every soul master who is known as a genius has a heart that cannot afford to lose. Douluo Yin had been defeated twice in a row at the hands of Lu Bao, and she knew this frustration best, so she was worried that Yi Lingling would be unable to recover. Douluo Yin wanted to comfort Yi Lingling, but her tongue was as vicious as a snake and would only hurt and curse others. She was not like Lu Bao, who could comfort and encourage others. That's why I wanted Lu Bao to encourage Yi Lingling. Don't worry, Yi Lingling's psychological development is not that fragile. Doesn't she often encourage you like this during team battles? Lu Baohai imitated Yi Lingling's tone and said, "Why are you afraid of a small setback? Does a small setback make you afraid of your opponents?" Douluo Yin chuckled. She felt that Lu Bao's imitation was nothing like it and was even a bit funny. However, these words are indeed what Yi Lingling often encourages his partners to say. With these words and Jiuxin Haitong's therapeutic assistance, everyone can rekindle their fighting spirit and fight forward. Being able to say such things proves that Yi Lingling's mentality is better than anyone else's. Lu Bao said with a smile, "It's not like you, who needs psychological counseling from others after losing. It's so pretentious." "You're right." Douluo Yin was relieved. Perhaps it was because she felt frustrated at that time and worried that Yi Lingling would be in the same situation. After a pause, Douluo Yin understood the second half of Lu Baoyan's sentence, saying he was being hypocritical. Isn't this a roundabout way of harming oneself? Lu Baoyan, what do you mean? Douluo Yin glared at Lu Baoyan fiercely, pointed and shouted, "In your opinion, my mentality is so bad? No, I still can't bear it. I just want to fight you. Let's have another soul fighting. This time I promise to poison you to death." Late at night, under the moonlight, two shadows were fighting on the roof of the boys' dormitory. Douluo Yin used poisonous mist to control Lu Baoyang, but Lu Baoyang was pinned down in the poisonous mist and beat him violently. Bang, 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 no matter where in the world. Life in the academy is boring. If you want to live a colorful life, you need to have goals and use your free time to do what you want to do. Lu Baoli was glad that he didn't have those awesome cheats. Everything he wanted had to be done through his own efforts, so he wouldn't be confused and his day would be so fulfilling. After the lunch break in the afternoon, there is a course of mimicry practice. The students rushed to the mimic field that suited them to practice. Lu Baoli and Yi Lingling came to the grassland mimicry field, and when they were about to sit down and meditate, a voice came from behind. El Baoli. Turning around, he saw that the person coming was a middle-aged teacher. It was this teacher who had registered for Lu Bao when he was enrolling in school. "Teacher Sunday." Lu Bao was a little surprised. "Is something wrong?" Teacher Sun looked over Lu Baoan's body before smiling and saying, "Young man is good. You look stronger than when you first joined the academy. It's not that I have anything to do, but His Highness the Crown Prince is looking for you and asking you to come to the Dean's building." Hearing these words, Yi Lingling, who was standing with Lu Baoyang, had no expression on his face, but a trace of curiosity arose in his heart. Could it be that Lu Baoyang was not seen in the grassland mimicry field before because Prince Shui Qingyi asked him to come to the Dean? Floor? Did the prince say anything specific? Lu Baoli thought to himself. Shui Qingyi invited him to the Dean's building. Maybe he really sent someone to investigate his identity. When we chatted in the Dean building last time, Shui Qingyi asked Lu Baoyang about his family background. Lu Baoyang made up a lie based on the description in the original book that he has enmity with Haotian Douluo. It should be Shui Qingyi who noticed something was wrong. So then he was invited to the Dean's building to investigate the matter. After the explanation, Teacher Sun left. "What can the prince do to you?" Yi Lingling asked. "I don't know." Lu Baoxiao shook his head. "You should practice first. I'll go to the Dean's building." Chapter 35. I want money. If a commoner wants to join the Tiando Royal Academy through the title of top student, he must first find out his identity and background, and then get the approval of both Prince Shui Xing and Prince Shui Qingyi before he can be qualified to become a top student. Because he liked the role played by the Shadow Soul group in the battle, Prince Snow he cared about him, and directly allowed Lu to be awarded the certificate of being a top student. However, Shui Qingyi was very concerned about Lu Bao because he had seen Lu Bao's battles and knew that Lu Bao was a rare talent. If he wanted to win over Lu Bao, he had to get to know him first. For this reason, the last time when Lu Baoli was invited to the Dean's building for tea, Shui Qingyi deliberately asked about Lu Baoli's identity and background, and learned that Lu Baoli was an orphan who survived from an unknown village. Lu Baoli's parents and the village were destroyed by war. The battle where the Soul Palace chased Haotian Douluo. Although this was a lie made up by Lu Baoli according to the description in the original work, Shui Qingyi believed it. The identity and background told by Lu Baoli were consistent with the events that Shui Qingyi knew, so Shui Qingyi really believed that Lu Baoli had a grudge against Haotian Douluo. This time, Shui Qingyi still had his own plans for inviting Lu Bao to the Dean's building for tea and chat. Dean's building lobby. Lu Bao received the notice from Teacher Sun and came to the door of the Dean's building. Quietly staring at the door, Lu Bu had an uneasy conscience. He was afraid that Shui Qingyi would discover that his identity and background were false. At the same time, he was also thinking about how to deal with the questions that Shui Qingyi might raise later. After a while, Lu Baohao put aside all worries and walked into the Dean's building. When I came to the hall, the first thing I saw was not Shui Qingyi, but two strangers sitting at the tea table in the corner of the hall. The maid had just made tea, and the tea in the teacup was steaming. Looking roughly at the two strangers at the tea table, Lu Haoli found that the two of them looked much older than him. They were wearing college uniforms and should be several years older than Yu Tianheng. Senior brother. Of these two senior brothers, one is slightly chubby, similar in build to the two brothers Shuremo and Shuremo, and the other is tall and thin, with a delicate appearance, comparable in appearance to Yufeng Asluo. The students who could enter the Dean's building were all allowed by the acting dean. Lu Baoli thought that these two senior brothers, like himself, should have been invited by Shui Qingyi. These two are the elite students of the academy in the past. A clear and calm voice sounded in the hall. They were once the captains of the first team of Tiando Royal Academy, and they were also the two most outstanding soul masters in the history of Tiando Royal Academy. In cultivating talents, on top of that, the two of them are better than the current captain Yu Tianheng. Lu Liang looked towards the voice and saw that the person who made the voice was Prince Shui Qingyi. Your Highness, the Crown Prince. The two senior brothers sitting in front of the tea table stood up and bowed slightly to Shui Qingyi, who was approaching. We are all on our own, so we don't have to be too restrained. Shui Qingyi smiled lightly and said, LV Bao, please sit down too. Those two are your senior brothers. There may be something you need them to teach you in the future. When the voice fell, Shui Qingyi had already come to the tea table and sat down. He did not act like a prince at all. The two senior brothers were not very restrained. They picked up the teacups and drank tea. The three of them seemed to be chatting like good buddies. Sky. Lu Baoli sat next to the fat senior fellow student and took a sip of tea with the three of them. He was confused about what was going on now. All I know is that when Shui Qingyi invited him over, he probably wasn't questioning his identity and background. Maybe Shui Qingyi really believed the lie that he had enmity with Haotian Douluo. Let me introduce you to you first. Shui Qingyi stretched out his hand towards the fat senior brother and said, This is the captain of the Tiando Royal Academy's first team in the last elite competition. His name is Tuo Xiang, and he comes from the Holy Dragon sect. The martial spirit white-armored Holy Dragon evolved from the white-armored Earth Dragon with the light attribute. Tuo Xiang, like Yu Tianheng, is a genius sent by the sect to the academy for exchanges. He is also the grandson of the leader of the Holy Dragon sect. At the age of 25, he is already a level 48 fighting soul sect. In addition to the quality of his martial soul, his talent, he is better than Yu Tianheng in other aspects. After saying that, Shui Qingyi stretched out his hand to the tall and thin senior brother next to Tuo Xiang. This is the captain of the Tiando Royal Academy's first team in the previous two elite competitions. His name is Luo Siki, the son of a high-ranking official in the Bala Kingdom, Wu Soul Sunflower. He reached the 58th level of soul power at the age of 29. The Mengshinji Education Committee has made such an evaluation. Luo Siki is very likely to break the record of the second youngest soul emperor in the history of teacher Qinming. There's this one too. Shui Qingyi looked at Lu Baoyang and introduced to Tuo Xiang and Luo Siki. His name is Lu Baoyang, Martial Soul Shadow, 18 years old, and currently has a 36th level of soul power. Although he was born a commoner but joined the academy with the title of top student. This shows that Lu Bao is outstanding in terms of martial arts talent. This is also true. When they heard the word civilian, Tuo Xiang and Luo Siki looked at each other from the corner of their eyes and saw the chuckles on each other's faces. Lu Bao gave a slight salute to the two senior brothers and said a few polite words. The two senior brothers immediately put away their disdainful attitude towards civilians and said a few polite words. After chatting for a few minutes, Lu Baolan finally figured out the situation. He was almost certain that Shui Qingyi completely trusted his fabricated identity and background. This time, he had another purpose in inviting him to the dean's building for tea. It turns out that Qian Rinxue, under the identity of Shui Qingyi, carried out a lurking plan in the Tiando Empire, not only to inherit the throne from Emperor Shuye, but also to attract talents from the Tiando Royal Academy to her use. Tuo Xiang, the captain of the first team of Tiando Royal Academy in the last elite competition, and the grandson of the leader of the Holy Dragon sect, not only has a good background, but also has good talent, and his martial soul also has a light attribute. Luo Siki, the captain of the first team of Tiando Royal Academy in the last two elite competitions, the son of a high-ranking official in the Balik Kingdom, and the martial spirit Sunflower, is also inextricably linked to the power of the sun. These two senior brothers are both talents that Qian Rinxue likes. Now that Qian Rinxue has a good relationship with them as Shui Qingyi, it will be much easier to win them over in the future. Once the wooing is successful, Qian Rinxue will not only have powerful subordinates, but also the Holy Dragon sect and the Balik Kingdom. It was also at this moment that Lu Baoyang realized that Qian Rinxue was not only interested in the potential of the Shadow Spirit, but also had her own plans for anything that was of value to her. Qian Rinxue has been making various preparations for the future reunification of Wuhuan Palace. Why did such a very tolerant and ambitious woman suddenly become a love-minded woman in the original work? Shui Qingyi's eyes passed over the three people opposite him one after another, and finally landed on Lu Baoli. Seeing Lu Baoli's absent-minded look, he couldn't help but curiously ask, "Lu Baoli, you don't seem to be in a very good state of mind today?" "I stayed up late last night practicing." Lu Baoli thought to himself. He was indeed planning how to ask Shui Qingyi for money to buy a storage soul guide last night. Junior brother is really diligent. Tuo Xiang, who was sitting next to him, said, "I hope that in the elite competition 3 years later, your diligence will help the Tiando Royal Academy first team go further. After all, you are a commoner, and everything is provided by the college for free, and there is a certain gold soul coin subsidy every month. To enjoy such good treatment, you should work harder for the glory of the college." Lu Baoyang felt that Brother Jiao Mao's words were treacherous, but he still nodded politely. "I will do it." Shui Qingyi asked, "Have the three of you encountered any problems recently and need my help? Or, if there is anything you want, just say it. As long as it can help your cultivation progress, I can provide it to you." Tuo Xiang and Luo Siki shook their heads almost at the same time. As great nobles, they had no worries and sufficient training resources. Lu Baoyang was different from these two senior brothers. He wanted too many things. He smiled and said, "Your Highness, to be honest, I do have something I want recently." "Oh, what do you want?" Shui Qingyi asked. Lu Hao smiled and said, "I want money." Hearing this, Tuo Xiang and Luo Siki couldn't help but smile. Indeed, every commoner wants money, which is not surprising. Shui Qingyi didn't find it strange. After all, when he had tea and chatted last time, he already knew Lu Baoli's life background. The village was destroyed by the battle between Haotian Douluo and the strong men of Wuhuan Palace, and his parents died as a result. It is human nature for a person with a miserable life experience and a poor background to be extremely eager for money. Perhaps it was because he wanted to gain money and status that Lu Baobao joined the Tiando Royal Academy. As the saying goes, if you stand on a wall for 1,000 feet, you will be strong if you have no desires. On the contrary, the greatest weakness of human beings is desire. People with more desires are more likely to be conquered. Shui Qingyi secretly smiled in his heart. The last time he learned that Lu Haoli had a grudge against Douluo, he felt that it was easier to win over Lu Haoli than to win over Douluo and Luo Siki. Now it seems that as long as Lu Haoli is promised money, status, or even various women, Lu Haoli can easily be taken under his command and work for him. However, Lu Haoli is not greedy for money and status. He wants money for a simple purpose, which is to buy a storage soul guide that can store living creatures, as well as some detoxifying potions, antivirus items, etc. For later, enter the Sunset Forest to obtain the grass jelly to prepare. I asked Douluo last night, and Douluo said that Douluo didn't have any Rui treasure bag storage soul guide. At this moment, it was no longer feasible to rely on Douluo to send them, so they could only borrow money from Shui Kingi to buy all the necessary items, and then return the money to him in the future. Seeing that Shui Kingi was deep in thought, Lu Haoli smiled guiltily. Is His Highness the Crown Prince feeling embarrassed? How could that be? Shui Kingi smiled slightly. What's so difficult about money for me? How much do you want? Lu Haoli said directly. I want 100,000 gold soul coins. 100,000 gold soul coins? Shui Kingi was a little surprised. Is that all? Lu Haoli was stunned for a moment, then raised his finger. How about adding another 100,000? Chapter 36. She also needs healing from others. How about adding another 100,000? Okay, 200,000 gold soul coins. I'll give it to you. As he said that, Shui Kingi had an extra gold card in his hand. Putting the gold card on the table and gently pushing it in front of Lu Haoli, Shui Kingi smiled and said, this card has a limit of 300,000 gold soul coins. It should be enough to satisfy you, right? Lu Haoli took the gold card, stuffed it into his belt, and said politely, thank you, Your Highness. I will return these 300,000 gold soul coins 100 times in the future. Shui Kingi chuckled. No need. This little money is nothing to me. Lu Haoli, with your martial arts talent, you will definitely have a bright future in the future. What you need to do now is to practice hard. Don't think about paying back the money. This money is considered as my sponsoring you. Having said this, Shui Kingi looked at Douluo and Luo Siki and warned, you two are the same. You must improve your strength as soon as possible, and don't let me live up to my expectations for you. Douluo and Luo Siki said to Shui Kingi at the same time, Your Highness, we will not let you down. Since you two don't have anything you want, go ahead and practice. Shui Kingi gave one final instruction. You must make good use of the Academy's mimicry training resources when you come back to live in the Academy during this period. Okay, Your Highness, we brothers will say goodbye first. After the salute, Luo Siki and Douluo left the Dean's building together. According to Shui Kingi, these two senior brothers have graduated, but during this period they will stay in the Academy to assist in their training with the help of the mimic field and break through the bottlenecks of level 50 and level 60 respectively. LV Baoan, you should go practice too. Shui Kingi looked at Lu Haoli and said, my expectations for you are much higher than those two senior brothers. Improve your strength as soon as possible so that you can serve your village and parents as soon as possible. Revenge. As long as it can assist you in your cultivation, let alone money, I will provide you with the best soul rings or the most difficult to find cultivation resources. Accordingly, you must let me see your growth as soon as possible. I'm looking forward to the surprise you bring me. I will. After saying that, Lu Haoli left the Dean's building. Seeing Lu Haoli's figure disappear completely from the field of vision, Shui Kingi's soft eyes showed a hint of sinisterness. In his opinion, Lu Haoli was completely in his hands just like Luo Siki and Douluo. Now, he needs to train the three talents of Lu Haoli, Luo Siki, and Douluo into strong men who can stand alone as soon as possible, so that they can maximize their value. Only valuable chess pieces can lead to a good game of chess. Qian Rinxue, who was under the disguise of Shui Kingi, secretly smiled. So far, the plan of the Hidden Empire is proceeding perfectly. Walking out of the Dean's building, Lu Bu thought to himself that so far, the plan to obtain the fairy grass was going perfectly. The 300,000 gold soul coins given by Shui Kingi should be enough to buy a well-made storage soul guide, as well as various detoxification and antivirus items, right? The only thing left to plan is when to go to the Sunset Forest to get the fairy grass. Returning to the grassland mimicry field, Lu Bao found Yi Lingling sitting cross-legged on the ground, closing his eyes and meditating very focused, using the breath emanating from the surrounding plants to help him practice quickly. In Yi Lingling, one can feel a kind of loneliness all the time. This may be related to her family environment or personality. Because of this, Douluo Yin felt that in yesterday's practical class, Yi Lingling fell into self-blame and confusion for causing Yu Tianhing's first defeat and needed help from others for psychological counseling. Although Lu Baohai said that Yi Lingling's mentality was very good and she didn't need anyone's encouragement to cheer her up again. But seeing Yi Lingling at this time, he felt that Douluo Yan's feeling was right. Yi Lingling was very self-blame and confused and really needed the enlightenment and encouragement of others. Yi Lingling often encourages her teammates, but no one has encouraged her because everyone thinks she is very strong. The loneliness she shows are just normal, not negative emotions. So there is no need for encouragement and comfort from others. But it's not. The loneliness Yi Lingling showed was indeed a negative emotion. Just imagine, a person who often encourages others must know the importance of encouragement. She must have rarely received encouragement from others when she was at a low point and has never felt this kind of warmth. Therefore, she often encourages others and does not want others to experience it, to feel the same loneliness as myself. Only when she felt the same way did Yi Lingling want to encourage others and help them get out of the trough that she had never gotten out of. In Lu Baoyang's view, Yi Lingling is a kind-hearted girl, without any decoration, a very simple kindness, just like her 9 hearts and begonia martial spirit, which is as simple as it can only heal others. At the same time, she also needs healing from others. Ling Ling. A sudden voice interrupted the practice. When she opened her eyes, Yi Lingling found that the person standing in front of her was Lu Baoli. "What's wrong?" Yi Lingling asked. Lu Bao said with a smile. "I remember Douluo Yin said that every rest day you would go to the city to buy some plant seeds and plant them back. Tomorrow is the rest day. You want to go too?" Yi Lingling nodded. "Last time I made an appointment with the owner of a flower shop in the city. He would help me find the flower seeds I wanted, and I would go and get them back tomorrow. Then can I go with you tomorrow?" Lu Bao said, "I also want to go shopping in the city." "What do you want to buy?" Yi Lingling asked. Lu Badai said truthfully, "I want to go to the auction house to see if there are any bids for the soul tool I want. Even low-quality soul tools are still very expensive." Yi Lingling reminded, "Are you rich?" "Yes." Lu Baoyan smiled, "But I have never been to the auction house and don't understand the rules there. Moreover, most of the people staying at the Tiando City auction house are nobles. As a commoner, it would be really difficult for me to go to the Tiando auction house alone, afraid of getting into trouble." Yi Lingling thought for a while and responded, "Okay, I will take you to the auction house tomorrow." The next day, morning. Today is a rest day. All teachers and students can arrange their time freely throughout the day. Yu Tianheng, Osluo, Yufeng, and Mo Shimo secretly went to those romantic places in the name of going to the Great Soul Fighting Arena in Tiando City to enjoy the luxurious life of the nobles. Douluo Yin went home to visit her grandfather Douluo Bo. Yi Lingling would use her days off to go to the flower shop in Tiando City to buy plant seeds, or take care of the flowers and plants planted in the dormitory. On this day off, Lu Baobao and Yi Lingling went to Tiando City together. First, they went to the Tiando auction house to see if there were any storage soul guides for auction, and secondly, they accompanied Yi Lingling to the flower shop to pick up the goods. They took a carriage at the gate of the college, and after about an hour's journey, they arrived at the gate of Tiando City. Tiando Royal Academy is established in the mountains and forests 20 kilometers away from Tiando City. It has been a month since Lu Baoyang joined the academy. Today is the first time he has left the academy and visited Tiando City. Stepping into the city gate, the scene inside the city is really breathtaking, with bustling street scenes and bursts of noise in the air. Tiando City is worthy of being the capital of the Tiando Empire. The streets are wide and clean, and most of the private buildings look so high-end and full of aristocratic atmosphere. If it weren't for the large characters Tiando City written on the city gate, Lu Baoyang would have felt that he had visited some famous place on Blue Star. and he would have been filled with emotion. Facing such a majestic city, Lu Liang wanted to praise it with poems, but he didn't know enough and didn't memorize many poems, so he could only say one sentence. Damn it. Under the leadership of Yi Lingling, Lu Baoyang rushed towards the Tiando auction house while admiring the bustling street scene. It was just before the Mao hour, and the sun was rising. Everywhere in the city was already bustling with people, especially in the east and west cities. Various shops lined the street, with vendors and footmen passing back and forth, giving the impression of a prosperous time. According to the description of the original work, the Tiando Empire should be governed by culture, and the people should be governed by culture, education, etiquette, and music. Therefore, the martial spirit inherited by the Tiando royal family is the swan martial spirit, which symbolizes nobility, and there will also be an etiquette academy similar to the Yuxian, which is cultural, educational, ritual, and musical. The Star Luo Empire advocates the use of force to rule the country, so the inherited martial spirit of the Star Luo royal family is the white tiger spirit, which symbolizes strength. In the Star Luo Empire, the Great Soul Fighting Field is the most popular facility, and those with strong strength are worthy of being called nobles. In addition to the two empires, there are also the Wuhuan Palace and the Seven Sects. Once there is a problem with one of the forces on the mainland, the peace of the mainland will disappear. Looking back at the various plots of the original work, Lu Baolan and Yi Lingling had already walked to the city center before they knew it. There is a dome building not far ahead. The building looks very strange. It is round and looks like half a ball stuck on the ground. There was no sign with any name on it, just an image of a hammer. Lu Bao was attracted by the dome building in front of him. What is that place? That's the Tiando auction house, Yi Lingling said calmly. The hammer pattern on it is the auction hammer logo, specially used for the auction house. Chapter 37 Tiando Auction House, Part 1. Tian Do Auction House? Lu Baoli recalled the description of the auction house in the original book and vaguely remembered that only in the capitals of the two empires. There were auction houses with the highest standards, where even soul bones were sold. Various soul tools such as the Dragon Abyss boat also appear more frequently in auction houses. Yi Lingling suggested, "Let's find a shop to have breakfast first. The auction house is open 24 hours a day, so you can go in at any time." "That's right, let's go take a look after eating." While talking, Lu Baohai had already found a shop. The two walked into the store and found a corner seat to sit down. The waiter came over and asked, "What do you two guests want to eat?" "Our breakfast here is freshly made, fresh, and affordable. Just order whatever you want, and it will be enough." Yi Lingling ordered a bowl of noodles and a steamed bun. Lu Bao ordered 10 bowls of noodles and 10 plates of meat buns. The waiter was right. The breakfast in the store was indeed freshly made. Fortunately, the chef who cooked the breakfast had a food-based bun martial spirit. Although he had no soul power, he could make steamed buns very quickly with the advantage of the martial spirit. Seeing the plates of meat buns stacked on the table, Lu Bao ate the noodles and stuffed the meat buns into his mouth. Yi Lingling suddenly became nervous, and the originally slow speed of eating noodles also increased, for fear that Lu Bao, the bad guy, accidentally ate his own share. Before Yi Lingling had finished eating half of the food, Lu Baoli had already finished it. 10 bowls of noodles and 10 plates of meat buns were all eaten in less than 5 minutes. After becoming a soul master, Lu Baoli felt that not only his physical strength had changed, but his eating speed and amount of food had also changed. After eating so much, he was only 60% full. The waiter had seen that Lu Bao and Yi Lingling were both polite people, so he thought they wouldn't be able to eat much, so he promised to take care of enough. When clearing away the dishes at Lu Bao's table, the waiter couldn't help but look sad. Looking at the simple blue clothes Lu Bao was wearing, he couldn't have met a commoner to eat the king's meal, right? The dishes on the table were cleared, and Yi Lingling was still eating noodles. Lu Baoyan watched her eat quietly. Yi Lingling was worried that she would be robbed while eating, so she asked first, "How about I give you my share? Don't you like noodles?" Lu Bao asked. Yi Lingling shook his head. "I quite like it." Lu Bao smiled and said, "I'll feed it to you when you have time. Can you cook?" Yi Lingling was curious. "Yes, I can do everything except giving birth." What Lu Bao said was true. Yi Lingling also felt that Lu Bao was good at everything: assisting, controlling, agility, and attacking. He was versatile in all aspects, and he was also eloquent. Even Douluo Yin, who was always known for his poisonous tongue, was defeated by his words. "I envy you very much," Yi Lingling suddenly said. "If I could be half as good as you, maybe my role for the team is not limited to healing." In the two-person battle in the last practical class, my role should be to let Tianheng he won, but he lost to you and Yin Yan because of me. I'm very sorry for him. It gave him his first defeat in the actual combat class. At this point, Yi Lingling stopped his chopsticks, and his originally plain face became a little dull. "Although you said that we are both equally good, but we are just used in different ways. No matter what type of battle, if you and I are enemies, I will not maybe it's better than you." Compared to restoring physical strength, everyone prefers assistance that improves combat effectiveness. This failure explains everything. The nine-hearted begonia martial spirit may not be as powerful as everyone says. After sighing in despair, Yi Lingling's dull expression returned to its former coldness, and he said with relief, "Or maybe I shouldn't compare with you. Otherwise, I will be looking for trouble for myself." Yin Yin is a good example. "You really shouldn't compare with me," Lu Baolon said sternly. "Instead of comparing with others, it is better to see your own strength clearly. Do you still remember the spirit battle between Douluo Yin and me? Douluo Yin lost to me twice. The reason is very simple. She had to compete with me and ignored her own shortcomings. After I enlightened her and asked her to master soul control, she did so. She made up for her own shortcomings. That's why she was able to control the jade phosphorus and purple poison so well during the last two-person soul battle. She was able to form a dual control combination with me to defeat you and Yu Tianheng. You only saw the supporting role of my shadow spirit in the battle, but you didn't see Douluo Yan's growth. In that two-person soul battle, if I was the shadow, Douluo Yin was the light. The stronger the light, the stronger the shadow. Intense, because Douluo Yin has become stronger than before. The effect of my assistance to her will be so good. In team battles, it is never the shadow spirit that is strong, but the person assisted by the shadow spirit. After hearing what Lu Baoyan said, Yi Lingling felt as if he could see the sun from the clouds. At that time, fighting spirit Douluo Yin did indeed use a poisonous fog attack method that he had never seen before. In the past, Douluo Yin could only blindly release a large-scale poisonous mist control, but now, Douluo Yin can make the poisonous mist appear in all four directions of Yu Tianheng at the same time, and keep the poisonous mist from spreading outwards. This requires very strong control. Okay, from this point of view, as a control soul master, Douluo Yin's ability to control poisonous mist is indeed stronger than before. According to what you said, your shadow martial spirit has limitations just like my Jushin Haidang martial spirit. Yi Lingling asked, "If no one needs the assistance of the shadow martial spirit, no one can become the shadow martial spirit. Light, then your shadow martial soul will be useless?" "No," Lu Bao said with a smile. "If no one becomes the light of the shadow martial spirit, I will become the light myself." "You can too." Yi Lingling shook his head. "Don't be kidding me. I'm a purely auxiliary type and don't have the same combat ability as you. Being a light does not mean having the ability to fight." Lu Liang said, "When your teammates are confused, your words of encouragement can rekindle their fighting spirit. With your encouragement, your teammates can see the future even when they are on the verge of despair." "To hope. Isn't this light?" Yi Lingling laughed. "I'm going to encourage my teammates. But who will encourage me?" "Me," Lu Bao responded. "I'm talking so much nonsense here. Do you think I'm just eating enough to hold on?" "I'm encouraging you." A simple sentence, but it hit the softest place deep in Yi Lingling's heart. In an instant, the confusion that had caused Yu Tianheng's defeat in the past few days due to his own incompetence seemed to have broken free. Yi Lingling stayed there, looking at Lu Bao with a strange brilliance in his eyes. Even without Lu Bao's encouragement, Yi Lingling would have cheered up on her own, but there was someone who was willing to take the time to help her resolve the confusion in her heart. Yi Lingling didn't hate this feeling. On the contrary, she liked this feeling, just like Haoli, like others watering it. Yi Lingling has been using the nine-hearted begonia martial spirit to heal others, and has been encouraging his teammates to be perseverant and not to give in easily. At the same time, Yi Lingling also longed for her teammates to heal her and for others to give her all kinds of encouragement. But she didn't like to express it and didn't say it out loud. That's why Lu Bao said, "I'm encouraging you." Hit hard deep in Yi Lingling's heart, as if a beam of light suddenly shone on a begonia flower growing in a dark corner. So warm. Lu Bao looked into Yi Lingling's eyes and asked, "You should feel my encouragement, right?" Yi Lingling was really relieved this time, and she couldn't help but smile on her cold face. "You accompanied me to Tiando City under the guise of going to the auction house to buy something. Isn't it just to encourage me? It was Yin Yin who asked you to come to me. Do you do psychological counseling?" "No." Lu Baoyan shook his head. "I really have something to buy when I go to Tiando auction house. Your mentality is far better than that of Dugi Yin, and you don't need anyone to enlighten you." "Thank you." The strange brilliance in Yi Lingling's eyes did not disappear, and she looked quietly into Lu Bao's eyes. "You're welcome." Lu Bao smiled. "You can just pay for today's meal." Chapter 38 Tiando Auction House, Part 2. You just have to pay for today's meal. After Yi Lingling paid the bill, he and Lu Bao left the store and walked towards the dome building with a hammer pattern in the city center. That building is exactly the purpose of this trip, Tiando Auction House. After Lu Badian's enlightenment, Yi Lingling was completely relieved and no longer worried about the fact that he had caused Yu Tianhing to suffer his first defeat in the actual combat class. As Lu Baoyan said, Yi Lingling has a good mentality. She is a calm and strong girl. She would have figured it out even without Lu Baoyan's psychological counseling. However, there was someone who was willing to take the time to help him solve the confusion in his heart. Yi Lingling didn't hate this feeling, just like a flower didn't hate having the sun shining on her. Yi Lingling felt that Lu Bao's martial spirit was a shadow, but Lu Bao himself was a light, very warm and desirable. When you are with him, you won't feel any confusion in your heart, and you will always be filled with warmth. Walking straight along the street, the two of them were already very close to the entrance of the auction house. According to Lu Badai's visual inspection, the diameter of this semicircular building buckled on the ground is at least close to 500 meters, and the highest point is more than 80 meters. Although it is slightly inferior to the Great Soul Fighting Arena, you must know that this is just an auction house. Does not require an audience. Moreover, this Tiando city is the capital of the Tiando Empire, and every inch of land can be described as valuable. This shows how important this auction house is in the entire Tiando city, and its background is unfathomable. The door of the auction house is also semicircular, and like the overall building of the auction house, it is milky white. There are 4 tall girls standing in front of the door. These girls have obviously been carefully selected. Not only are they all about 1.75 meters tall, but they are also extremely well-proportioned. Although they are not stunningly beautiful, their good looks are still very attractive. They look like they are no more than 20 years old, wearing a floor-length skirt. Even their arms were covered, not exposing any more skin, but the skirt was very close to the body and fully outlined their graceful curves. The snow-white dress was embroidered with silver patterns, and the patterns were vaguely formed into characters, but neither Lu Bao nor Yi Lingling could tell what the characters were. The 4 girls' movements were exactly the same, with their hands in front of their bodies and smiles on their faces. Although this was a professional smile, it was still easy to impress others. Seeing the 2 people walking straight towards them, one of the 4 girls took 3 steps forward to meet them and bowed slightly. "You too. Do you need any help?" Yi Lingling said, "We want to go in and bid for items." The girl smiled slightly. "Can I ask if the 2 guests have bidding qualification certificates?" The bidding qualification certificates are divided into several different levels, and the entry threshold is 10,000 gold soul coins. In other words, you need an asset certificate of 10,000 gold soul coins to participate in the auction. This is necessary to avoid malicious bidding. As a noble, how could Yi Lingling not have a bidding qualification certificate? He took out a black card from somewhere and handed it to the girl. After the girl saw the gold soul coin asset marked on the black card, her eyes couldn't help but widen slightly, and she immediately made away and made an invitation gesture to the door of the auction house. "2 guests, please come with me. I will be responsible for taking you to the auction center." where you can bid for any items you want. Of course, provided you have enough money. Under the leadership of the girl, Lu Baolon and Yi Lingling entered the Tiando auction house and walked towards the center. This was the advantage of why Lu Baolon asked Yi Lingling to take him to the auction house. Having a noble accompanying him to places frequented by nobles would reduce a lot of trouble. Along the way, the girl introduced Lu Baobao to the rules of bidding on items at the auction house. The rules of the auction house are very simple. There is a round-the-clock bidding cycle with no rest time. When bidding on an item, the required fees will be deducted from the bound account. Once the bound account is overdrawn, you will no longer be able to increase the price, and you will no longer be able to participate in the bidding for the item. Before entering the auction house, the girl gave each of Lu Baoan and Yi Lingling a black mask and told them that they would need to wear masks before participating in auctions in the future. This was for the safety of customers. The girl sent the two of them to the entrance of the auction center before turning around and leaving. There was another attendant in the auction center. The waiters at the auction center are all women, and their heights are similar to those of the girls who led the way before, but their bodies are a bit more aggressive. The white skirts they were wearing had a large front placket and no sleeves. The short skirts were just 7 inches above the waist, revealing their soft and smooth thighs. Coupled with the white high heels, they were even more tempting. The deep ravine on the chest and the bulging buttocks under the short skirt are all arousing people's imagination. Lu Haoli, like Yu Tianheng Osluo and other nobles, was not a good person in the first place, and his heart could not be very pure. Although he had tried his best to suppress his desires, he still couldn't help but take a few more glances. If there was such a thing as short videos here, these waitresses would definitely be the bosses, and they would really make people salivate and want to see them. Lu Haoli couldn't help but feel envious of Yu Tianheng and the others. They were having fun at the Fengyue place in Tiando City in the name of going to the great soul-fighting arena. They must be enjoying themselves very much. Yi Lingling noticed that Lu Baoli's eyes had been falling on the hot and sexy waitresses, but she did not discipline Lu Baoli. After all, they were just teammates with no close relationship, so what qualifications did she have to discipline them? Led by a waiter, Lu Baolon and Yi Lingling walked into the auction center. The auction center feels more like a large auditorium, with a circular podium in the center and a circle of seats arranged in a radial ring around it. It is divided into 5 parts in total. The 3 rows of seats closest to the podium are red, radiating outward, followed by black, purple, yellow, and white, apparently set up for different levels of bidders. The previous reception girl told Lu Bao. The innermost red seats are accessed through a special passage and are protected by dedicated security personnel. There is the so-called million-level VIP area, and only those with status can obtain the red VIP qualification. The black seats in a circle outside are ordinary million-level VIP areas. Anyone with money can enter. Further outward, the purple ones are for the 500,000 level purple VIPs. The yellow ones are for the 100,000 level ordinary VIPs, and the outermost white ones are the most ordinary VIP seats. The area corresponding to Yi Lingling's bidding qualification certificate was black. The waiter took the 2 people to the black area, smiled warmly, and left. Next, we just have to wait for the bidding to start. As he said that, Yi Lingling was already sitting on a chair. Lu Baolian also sat down and watched the hot waitress leave. He thought to himself that if Yi Lingling hadn't been with him, he would probably have sat in the outer white area, and the waitress wouldn't have been so enthusiastic. Attitude, this is really a very realistic world. These waiters themselves belong to the auction house, including their lives. They are all civilian women who were bought by the auction house at a very young age and have been trained since childhood. They are not only the service staff here, but also part of the auction. That if someone is willing to pay, they can be bought and sold. Yi Lingling said calmly, "If you like, you can pay them to come and accompany you. Anyway, the auction house is open 24 hours a day, so they can accompany you 24 hours a day." Lu Baoli's eyes returned to Yi Lingling and explained, "I didn't mean that, I just felt that without you accompanying me, I probably wouldn't even be able to enter the auction house." "Thank you." Yi Lingling didn't reply. Although they were all wearing black masks, she could still see the malice on Lu Bao's face. Is there any man in the world who is not greedy for beauty? While having breakfast at the breakfast shop, Yilingling felt very happy with Lu Baolon, but now she just wanted to end the bidding quickly, go to the flower shop to pick up the flower seed she wanted, and then go back to the college. She didn't want to waste anything here. Time. Clang. The muffled sound of the auction hammer hitting the table echoed in the hall, and the attention of Lu Baoli and Yilingling gathered on the central podium. At this time, a soul guidance device on the ceremony table had been successfully traded for 43,000 gold soul coins. The host standing on the edge of the podium held a loudspeaker and said to the bidders with a smile, "What we are going to auction is a rare treasure. Please pay attention to it if you are interested. This treasure is also a kind of soul guide. It is auctioned as a pair. There are 2 in total. According to the auctioneer, this pair of soul guides has the function of preserving living creatures, and its holding space can even store soul beasts. Or it may be stored in it by humans, but it is a rare and top-quality storage soul guidance device. The starting price of this lot is 100,000 gold soul coins. Since there are 2 lots in total and cannot be auctioned separately, each bid increase must not be less than 20,000 gold soul coins." The waitress walked up to the reception desk, carrying a transparent box the size of a human head. The transparent box was covered with a red cloth to cover up the contents. Everyone's eyes, including Lu Baoli and Yilingling, fell on the red cloth. Driven by curiosity, everyone wanted to take a look and see what this pair of soul guides that could store living creatures looked like. The waitress placed the transparent box on the ceremony table. The host lifted the red cloth covering the box and introduced, according to the auctioneer, this pair of soul guides that can store living creatures are called Rui Bai Bao. Bag. Not only is it small in size, it has a large storage space, but it is also very easy to carry. It only needs to be hung around the waist. Chapter 39 Tiendo Auction House Part 2. According to the auctioneer, this pair of soul guides that can store living things is called Rui Bao Bang. Not only is it small in size, it has a large storage space, and it is also very easy to carry. It only needs to be hung around the waist. As the host's voice fell, the red cloth was opened, and after a red light flashed, 2 tips of different colors were stored in a transparent box in front of everyone. One of the 2 sachets is blue, and the other is green. They are only about the size of an adult's palms. Although they are much larger than the sachets, they can only fit into one hand. This is a seemingly ordinary tips bag, but after the host's introduction, the 2 tips bags stored in the transparent box were given a certain kind of light. They are no longer ordinary, but eye-catching. Soul guides that can store items are not rare, but soul guides that can store living creatures are extremely rare in the mainland. What is the function of such a soul guide? A normal storage soul guide is just like a storage room. It is isolated from the outside world and has no air. So under this situation, if a living thing stays in it, it will definitely suffocate to death. A soul guide that can store living creatures means that the storage space contains the conditions necessary for the survival of living creatures. An item that can hold living things also means that it must be able to temporarily hold people, soul beasts, or other living beings. If a soul master can obtain this kind of soul guide that stores living creatures, not only can he store some creatures with special abilities, but he can even store soul beasts. For example, in some large sects, they can beat the soul beast needed by the sect's disciples to half a disability, with only its last breath left, and then use some means to prevent it from functioning normally, and finally store it in a soul guide. In the future, when the disciples of the sect need the soul ring of a soul beast to break through the level limit, they don't need to waste time looking for the soul ring. They could just take it out of the soul guide and kill it for the disciple of the sect who needs to advance to obtain the soul ring. Another example is some great nobles who like to live a lascivious life and abuse beautiful women like slaves. With this storage soul guide, you can store beautiful women naked in them and release them to enjoy when needed, or there are more perverted ways to play. What kind of beauty is hidden in the golden house? There is no need to hide at all. When having an affair, you only need to store the object of the affair in the soul guide to avoid being discovered. This is the function of the soul guide that can store living creatures. Hearing that the names of these 2 soul guides were Rui Bao Bao, not only the audience present, but also Lu Baoyan was excited. Dugu Yin said that Dugu Bo did not have the Rui Bao Bao, a storage soul guide, because it turned out that Dugu Bo hasn't gotten this treasure yet. In other words, The two wishful treasure bags bought at the auction house are not the treasures of Hutang-san, but the treasures of Douluo. The starting price of this lot is 100,000 gold soul coins. Since there are 2 lots in total and cannot be auctioned separately, each bid increase must not be less than 20,000 gold soul coins. As he spoke, the host glanced at everyone present and shouted, "Dear guests, you can bid." Lu Haoli pressed the button on the seat handle without hesitation. Yi Lingling told him that if he wanted to increase the price, he could just press the button on the handle. In other words, he had to spend at least 120,000 gold soul coins to buy the 2 wishful treasure bags. At this time, there were dinging sounds in the hall. Whether it was the mysterious VIPs in the red area in front or the nobles in other areas, people pressed the buttons one after another and started to increase the price. At this time, the bidding price has increased to 200,000 gold soul coins, and it seems that it is still increasing. Lu Haoli felt a little guilty, and if he added to that, he would have no money. The 300,000 gold soul coins obtained from Shui Qingyi obviously cannot compete with the assets of this group of nobles. It seems that this auction is going to fail. I hate myself on Blue Star for having no money and no power. Unexpectedly, in Douluo continent, he would be worried about money again. Lu Haoli was very unwilling to accept it. It was rare for him to come across a top-notch soul tool like the Rui treasure bag, so how could he be willing to give it to others? "Don't worry, come on," Yi Lingling said. "I also have some money. I should be able to help you." Lu Haoli looked at Yi Lingling with some surprise. "Thank you." Receiving help from others in such an extremely helpless and unwilling situation is undoubtedly a blessing after a long drought. Apart from sincere thanks, Lu Haoli really can't think of any better words to express his gratitude. However, Yi Lingling seemed to be very satisfied with this thank you. The eyes that met Lu Haoli suddenly moved down, and the corner of his mouth curled up with an imperceptible smile. The host said, 300,000. A red VIP bid has reached 300,000 gold soul coins. Is there any more bid? 320,000. The host looked at Lu Haoli's position and shouted again. Okay, there is a black VIP who bids 320,000. Seeing that someone dared to raise the price with him, the red VIP sitting in the red area at the front suddenly stood up and swept towards the black area behind. Although there was a mask on his face, when this person stood up, Yi Lingling, but he immediately recognized his identity. In fact, Lu Baoxiang also knows this person. This red distinguished guest is the former captain of the first team of Tiando Royal Academy and one of the most outstanding elite students in history. His name is Douluo Xiang. He is the grandson of the leader of the Holy Dragon sect and Yi Lingling. Former captain. Douluo Xiang was about to break through the bottleneck of level 50 recently, so he returned to the academy to stay for a while and use the academy's mimicry field to practice in order to break through the level faster. He took advantage of his day off to visit the auction house, but he didn't expect to come across a soul guide that could store living creatures. Such a top-notch product, he did his best to do it. Lingling. Douluo Xiang also recognized the masked Yi Lingling at first glance, and then glared at Lu Haoli, who was sitting with Yi Lingling. The moment Lu Baoxiang and Douluo Xiang looked at each other, they both recognized each other. They had met before under Shui Qingyi's introduction. Lu Baoxiang knew that this red distinguished guest was his senior brother named Douluo Xiang, and like himself, he was a talent favored by Shui Qingyi. Sitting next to Douluo Xiang was a strong man wearing white armor. Any soul master with a certain level of vision could tell that this strong man in white armor was a strong man at the level of soul saint, probably the same as Douluo Xiang. Same, they're from the Holy Dragon sect. Douluo Xiang looked at Yi Lingling and asked, Lingling, do you want this product too? Yi Lingling nodded. Sorry, I can give you anything you want, but I am very interested in this product and will never give in. Douluo Xiang's serious expression suddenly smiled, changed the subject and said with a smile, but if you promise me if that happens, I will consider giving you one of the tips. What do you think? No, Yi Lingling replied firmly. If you don't agree, then don't even think about getting this treasure. Douluo Xiang shouted angrily. Uncle Long, raise the price to 400,000. The strong man in white armor sitting next to Douluo Xiang took several pictures of the button on the seat handle, and the bidding price rose directly to 400,000. The host shouted, 400,000. The red VIP bid has reached 400,000 gold soul coins. Is there any more bid? Lu Bao glanced at Yi Lingling, because he only had 300,000 gold soul coins in his card. And if he wanted to increase the price, he had to use the amount in Yi Lingling's card. Yi Lingling nodded. After getting permission, Lu Baoli also increased the price to 420,000 gold soul coins. Tuo Xiang signaled the strong man in white armor, named Uncle Long, to continue increasing the price. 500,000 gold soul coins, the host exclaimed, and all the bidders present looked at each other in confusion, and no one stopped bidding. Only Lu Baoli increased the bid. 520,000 gold soul coins, the host shouted. The strong man in white armor pressed the button again, and the bidding price for the 2 wishful treasure bags had reached 600,000 gold soul coins. Obviously, Tuo Xiang's intention was to keep raising prices until Yi Lingling was destroyed. For such a soul guidance device that can store living creatures, the Holy Dragon sect will not give up easily. 700,000 gold soul coins. The host was stunned. Although these 2 soul tools are rare, they are not worth 700,000 gold soul coins. In this situation, it is obvious that the 2 bidders are at odds. Lu Bao was about to increase the price, but found that even the limit on Yi Lingling's card was overdrawn and he could not increase the price. Sorry, I didn't bring that much money. Yi Lingling then remembered that she didn't have much money left on her card. She just came out to buy flowers. She never thought that such a thing would happen. Lu Bao smiled and shook his head and said with relief, "It's okay. Things that belong to me will fall into my hands no matter what. If they don't belong to me, there's no need to force them. Don't take it too seriously." Yi Lingling didn't want to care, but her heart felt heavy, as if she had lost something. Seeing that Lu Baoxiang couldn't raise the price, Tuo Xiang smiled. "Junior brother, it turns out that it's not Lingling who wants this product, but you. You asked His Highness the Crown Prince for the 300,000 gold soul coins because you wanted to come to the auction house to bid, right? Unfortunately, you were just a commoner after all, and the Tiando auction house is not the place you should come to. The rich live here. This is an auction according to the rules of the field. Don't blame your senior brother for not letting you go." As he spoke, Tuo Xiang chuckled. "If you want these 2 treasures, just spend more money than me. If you don't have money, these 2 wishful treasure bags can be returned to you." Senior brother. Lu Buliang looked at Tuo Xiang unwillingly. He felt that Tuo Xiang did have the arrogance. First of all, he had the powerful Holy Dragon sect as his background, and the Holy Dragon sect had an unclear relationship with Wuhuan Palace. Secondly, Tuo Xiang is a talent secretly cultivated by Prince Shueqingyi. Regardless of background, strength, financial resources, or influence, I can't compare to him. I can only watch as what I want falls into the hands of others. The host shouted again. 700,000 gold soul coins? Is there any more price? No need to shout. Tuo Xiang looked at the host and smiled proudly. I am from the Holy Dragon sect. After I increase the price, no one will dare to increase the price except the royal family and people from the 7 major sects. Today happens to be 7. Most of the people from the sect are not here. I, the Holy Dragon sect, have the final say. There is no need to fear anyone at all. Just when Tuo Xiang's voice fell, an old and oppressive voice sounded from the entrance of the hall. In the entire Tiando Empire, are the only people from the 7 major sects that your Holy Dragon sect can fear? Suddenly, an extremely frightening coercion was generated at the entrance of the hall, and the fishy smell enveloped the entire hall. It could be vaguely seen that the flower decorations on the screen wall of the hall were instantly corrupted and melted by the fishy smell. The next moment, an old man with dark green hair slowly walked in from the entrance of the hall with his hands behind his back. Chapter 40. Douluo Bo, in the entire Tiando Empire, are the only people from the 7 major sects that your Holy Dragon sect can fear. Suddenly, an extremely frightening coercion was generated at the entrance of the hall. Along with the fishy smell, the entire hall was enveloped. You could vaguely see that the flower decorations on the screen wall of the hall were instantly corrupted and melted by the fishy smell. The next moment, an old man with dark green hair slowly walked in from the entrance of the hall with his hands behind his back. Everyone's eyes fell on the dark green-haired old man. When Lu Baohai looked at the old man, The old man's figure flickered like an illusion. In the blink of an eye, he appeared on the aisle near his seat. No matter how slow he was, he walked towards the central podium. Douluo? Lu Haoli was secretly surprised. Douluo came to the academy to visit Douluo before, so he had met Douluo and experienced the sense of oppression emanating from Douluo. The invisible pressure filling the hall at this moment came from Douluo released. After a moment of silence, Lu Haoli suddenly realized that he had caught up with the plot of Douluo getting the wishful treasure bag, so Douluo appeared here. However, no one present except Lu Haoli and Yi Lingling seemed to know that the dark green-haired old man who suddenly walked into the auction hall was Douluo, the poison Douluo who dominates the world. Even Tuoba Xiang, the former captain of the first team of Tiando Royal Academy, stared at Douluo with a confused expression, as if he had never seen this old man before. It stands to reason that if he is on the same team as Douluo, Tuoba Xiang should know Douluo. Yin Yin joined the academy after Yu Tianheng became the captain of the first team of Tiando Royal Academy. Yi Lingling said, when Tuoba Xiang was the former captain, Yin Yin was not a student of the academy. Really? No wonder he doesn't know Douluo. Lu Baoyang's unwillingness was finally relieved. If these two wishful treasure bags fell into Douluo's hands, he would still have a chance to get them. I want to see what qualifications a holy dragon sect has to be domineering in the Tiando auction house. Douluo's voice echoed in the hall, and this sentence was meant for Tuoba Xiang. Just now Tuoba Xiang said that no one from the 7 major sects was present, and that the Holy Dragon sect had the final say in this Tiando auction house. The Holy Dragon sect is afraid of the 7 major sects. Isn't it afraid of Poison Douluo who lives in Tiando City? Douluo wanted to see if Poison Douluo's name could suppress the mere Holy Dragon sect. Seeing the dark green-haired old man walking towards his position step by step, Tuoba Xiang was trembling all over. He didn't know Douluo, but he could feel the intimidation of Douluo's aura, and his eyes were full of fear and confusion. Long, Uncle Long, quick, help me teach that old man a lesson. He wants to hit me. Tuoba Xiang was about to seek help from the strong man in white armor who came with him, but found that even the soul saint, the strong man in white armor, also looked guilty and panicked. There are still knowledgeable people in the whole hall. This strong man in white armor has never met Douluo, but he has heard of Douluo's name. He can exude such an aura that makes the soul saint city timid with every move he makes. His strength may have reached the level of a titled Douluo. The aura made the flower decorations everywhere on the screen wall instantly wither and decay. The only titled Douluo who could have such a poisonous smell was the poison Douluo who dominated the world. Douluo walked to the stage and stared at Tuoba Xiang indifferently. His cold and deep eyes fell on Tuoba Xiang, as if a giant python was tightly wrapped around Tuoba Xiang's body, making him feel a sense of a feeling of suffocation. Tuoba Xiang stared at the bottomless, dark, green-haired old man in front of him. The fear in his heart was unreservedly displayed on his face. He was horrified, twitching, and had various uncontrollable expressions on his face due to fear. Seeing that the beloved grandson of his sect master was so frightened and suppressed, the strong man in white armor did not dare to make the slightest move. He stood up in a daze for a while and showed the most respect to Douluo. He said with a guilty conscience, "You must be the poisonous tyrant in the world. Your Majesty the Poison Douluo, my junior Tuoba Long. I have admired your name for a long time." Douluo glanced at the strong man in white armor and said coldly, "I heard that you want to teach me a lesson?" Upon hearing these words, the strong man in white armor felt as if thunder had exploded above his head, and he was so frightened that all the bones in his body were about to fall apart. Tuoba Xiang's legs became weak, and he was so frightened by this question that he fell to the ground. In Douluo's cold blue eyes, he seemed to see himself being torn apart by the sound. The ominous aura echoed in the hall along with the sound, and the expressions of everyone present changed drastically. No one expected that this old man with dark green hair, who looked unkempt, would be one of the top strong men on the continent today. The poison Douluo named Poison. Douluo looked at the shivering host at the edge of the stage and said coldly, 720,000 gold soul coins. Only then did the host realize that Douluo was talking about increasing the price. His Majesty, the titled Do, also wanted to bid for these 2 wishful treasure bags. Your Majesty Douluo, please don't make fun of the small one. You should take it directly, the host said timidly. We will inform the owner of this item about the situation. The auction house has its own rules. Douluo stared at the host with cold eyes. Do you want me to break the rules and ruin my reputation? No, I don't want to. The host walked to the stage tremblingly, picked up the auction hammer with trembling hands, and shouted to everyone in the hall with a trembling voice. 720,000 gold soul coins. Still, is there any more? Price increase. Everyone, including Lu Haoli, looked panicked. Not to mention the price increase. Under the pressure of this titled Douluo, how many people could easily move their bodies? And how many people could resist the titled Douluo? Douluo's breath suppression? 720,000 gold soul coins once, twice, 3 times. Make a deal. The muffled sound of the auction hammer hitting the table was heard on the podium. The snap made Douluo Xiang, who was sitting in front of the podium, tremble all over. A wave of heat came from his lower body, and his whole body was numb with fear. Douluo reached into the transparent box placed on the ceremony table, took out 2 wishful treasure bags, looked at Douluo Xiang, and then looked at Lu Haoli's position. When he walked into the auction house, he happened to see Lu Haoli and Douluo Xiang fighting for these 2 wishful treasure bags. It seemed that there were 2 young people who knew the goods in the hall. Yi Lingling stood up and bowed slightly to Douluo. Hello, senior. As Douluo's comrade in arms, and with a magical martial spirit like Jiuxin Haidang, Douluo naturally paid attention to Yi Lingling and knew that she was his granddaughter Douluo's teammate. After slightly nodding to Yi Lingling to show his elder's courtesy, Douluo's eyes fell on Lu Haoli again. He handed the 2 wishful treasure bags towards Lu Haoli and said indifferently, You also want to bid for these 2 items. A soul guidance device? Lu Haoli endured Douluo's pressure and nodded with difficulty. I want to. Douluo sneered, boy, just dream. As the voice fell, the suffocating pressure in the hall disappeared, and Douluo's figure also disappeared from everyone's sight. Everything returned to calm. Everyone was spread out on their seats at the moment Douluo left, as if they had stepped out of the gate of hell. Escaped and came back, no longer affected by Douluo's coercion. Lu Haoli's ugly face improved a little. He breathed a sigh of relief, gritted his teeth, and clenched his fists. The feeling of being suppressed was too painful. He never wanted to be suppressed like this again. Become stronger than anyone else. This is Lu Haoli's only obsession now. Noon, when Lu Haoli and Yi Lingling walked out of the auction house, many unexpected things happened. Although they did not get the Rui treasure bag or other soul guides for storing living creatures. But Lu Haoli used 60,000 gold soul coins to bid for a well-made ring soul guide. This ring soul guide can only store dead objects, but the storage space is huge. In addition, Lu Haoli also bought a lot of antivirus protective gear, antidote potions, etc. These things will definitely come in handy after entering the Sunset Forest. After leaving the auction house, Lu Haoli and Yi Lingling took off their masks. Lu Haoli stored the black mask in the silver ring soul guide worn on his left index finger, and then gave the 2 anti-poison pills that Douluo had given him before, as well as Shui Qingyi. The gold card is also deposited into the ring. Halfway through the road, Lu Haoli suddenly stopped and let out a long sigh. This experience at the auction house made him truly realize what it means to put strength first. Lu Liang vowed to practice hard in the future, seize various opportunities, and be promoted to a titled Douluo as soon as possible. He also wanted to experience how Douluo could intimidate everyone just by using the name Poison Douluo. What's wrong? Yi Lingling asked. It's okay. Lu Haoli smiled. Let's go and pick up the goods from the flower shop. Then go back to the academy to practice. Thank you very much today, Lingling. You helped me a lot. Hearing these words, Yi Lingling's heart, which was depressed because of not being able to help Lu Haoli, suddenly relaxed. Her pretty face turned red, and she shook her head with a smile. Junior brother, it's a pity we didn't get that wishful treasure bag. A sudden voice sounded from beside him, interrupting the conversation between Lu Haoli and Yi Lingling. A commoner used the 300,000 gold soul coins given by His Highness the Crown Prince to seduce a noble girl, and even made the noble girl willing to spend money on you. You are really powerful. The person who spoke was Tuo Xiang, who walked out of the auction house. Lingling, long time no see. Tuo Xiang ran to Yi Lingling and asked with concern, "How are you doing recently?" "Fortunately, I don't need to worry about senior brother." After saying that, Yi Lingling left first. Lu Haoli followed Yi Lingling without asking about the grudge between her and Tuo Xiang. Without asking, he knew that the senior brother should be Yi Lingling's suitor, but Yi Lingling did not agree to him. In Tiando City, Douluo's family. After leaving the academy and returning home, Douluo originally wanted to give her grandfather a surprise, so she didn't say that she was going home today. When she got home, she found that her grandfather was not there, and her trip was in vain. When she was about to leave, Douluo's figure suddenly appeared in front of her. "Grandpa!" After shouting in surprise, Douluo threw herself into Douluo's arms. Douluo hugged his granddaughter, whom he had not seen for many days, and laughed. "Yin, why didn't you say anything when you came back? Grandpa is going to the college to find you. You want to lie to me again?" Douluo pushed Douluo away and shouted angrily. "Apart from Prince Shueshing troubling you, you would never take the initiative to come to the academy to find me. Moreover, you must think that I am at home. It disturbs your cultivation. So you sent me to the academy. How could it be?" Douluo argued. "Grandpa sent you to the academy in the hope that you can make more friends while practicing. Don't be like Grandpa, who won't even have a single friend worth making friends with when you get old. This will make you very lonely." Douluo crossed her arms. She was angry and ignored Douluo by the way. "Yin, do you still remember the agreement we made 2 years ago? You naughtily played with Grandpa's ring soul guide, and Grandpa got angry and scolded you. At that time, Grandpa promised to find you the best soul guide in the world. Found it now." Hearing Douluo talk about the agreement 2 years ago, Douluo calmed down and said, "Grandpa, it turns out you still remember this agreement. Of course, when did Grandpa deceive Yin?" As he said this, Douluo already had 2 more tips in his hand. These 2 tips were bought by him at the auction house in the morning. There are 2 in total. One is blue and the other is green, both of which have the function of storing living things. These 2 soul guides are called Rui treasure bags, which can store living things. With them, you can raise some highly poisonous things and store them in them like Grandpa. Then take them out when you need to refine the poison. The bag of wishful things? Douluo was stunned for a moment. She looked at the 2 bags of different colors in Douluo's hand and thought, isn't the living creature storage soul guide that Lu Bao wanted earlier called Rui? Treasure bag? Chapter 41, Wishful Treasure Bag. Grandpa, where did you get them? Douluo stared at the 2 kits in Douluo's hands in surprise, thinking, does Lu Haoli have the ability to predict the future? How did he know that his grandfather would have a wishful treasure bag? "I got these 2 treasures from the auction house this morning," Douluo said. "Although the colors are different, their functions are the same. The green one will be given to you, and Grandpa will keep the blue one first." Douluo took the green Rui treasure bag and paused for a while before saying, "Grandpa, your ring soul guide can store both living and dead objects at the same time. There should be no need for the Rui treasure bag, right? How about that blue one? Give it to me too. It just so happens that a friend of mine wants it, so I'll give it to him." "Oh." Douluo was a little surprised. "To that boy from the Blue Lightning Tyrant Dragon sect?" Douluo shook his head. "No." Hearing his granddaughter's denial, Douluo's heart relaxed. The boy from the Blue Lightning Tyrant Dragon sect was referring to Yu Tianheng. As Douluo's grandfather and only relative, how could Douluo not pay attention to Douluo's college life? He knew that Douluo had almost no other friends in the academy except those from the Tiando royal team. "I also know that Yu Tianheng has been pursuing Douluo. With Yu Tianheng's background and conditions, how good a woman could he want? Why is he so obsessed with his granddaughter Douluo?" Douluo didn't know if Yu Tianheng was sincere. He only knew that once his granddaughter was deceived by Yu Tianheng, he would definitely be inseparable from the Blue Lightning Tyrant Dragon sect. Moreover, the Blue Electric Tyrannosaurus Dragon sect are all arrogant people. If my granddaughter marries into the blue electric Tyrannosaurus dragon sect and suddenly dies one day due to the backlash of the jade phosphorus snake venom and is no longer in this world, then the granddaughter you will suffer all kinds of grievances in the blue lightning Tyrannosaurus sect. I heard that my granddaughter has always rejected Yu Tianheng in the academy, but Yu Tianheng refused to give up. Perhaps Yu Tianheng's persistence is mostly related to the orders of the blue lightning tyrant dragon sect. Or maybe in the near future, the granddaughter will be beaten by Yu Tianheng. Soak in hand. These are just Douluo's speculations. From the bottom of his heart, he does not want his granddaughter to marry into the blue lightning tyrant dragon sect. He does not want to become an in-law with any sect, as this will restrict his freedom. After coming back from his thoughts, Douluo finally reacted and asked, Yin Yan, if you didn't give it to Yu Tianheng, then who are you going to give it to? To the little girl from the Jiuxin Haiding clan? No. Douluo Yin shook her head again. At this moment, the scenes of every previous soul battle with Lu Haoli appeared in her mind. Recalling what happened every night when he secretly sneaked to the roof of the boys' dormitory and met Lu Haoli, Douluo Yin couldn't help but lick the smile on his lips. He actually felt nervous and uneasy, and his heartbeat was racing. Seeing his granddaughter's unusual behavior, Douluo seemed to understand that his granddaughter didn't agree to Yu Tianheng's pursuit. Could it be that she had a crush on someone else? If even Yu Tianheng can't look down on him, who else in Tiando Royal Academy can make his granddaughter look down on? Yin Yan, tell Grandpa honestly, Douluo asked anxiously. You don't want to give the wishful treasure bag as a gift to the person you like, do you? Grandpa, what are you talking about? It's not what you think, Douluo Yin explained. I wanted to give him something just because I lost a bet with him. The bet was to give him a treasure that he also wanted. He wanted a living storage soul guide, and you happen to have one. So I just wanted to use it as a bet to him. Did you lose the bet? Douluo was a little surprised. Did you lose the Battle of Souls? Douluo Yin hummed. I fought with him several times in the actual combat class, but I always lost. Yin Yin, your strength has improved a lot compared to before. How could you lose? Douluo couldn't believe it. In the Tiando Royal Academy, among the fighting souls of the same level, besides Yu Tianheng, there are still people who can defeat Can I Beat You? Don't ask so many questions, Douluo Yin said angrily. Anyway, I just lost to that guy. One day, I will definitely win back. Douluo was curious. Is the guy you were talking about more powerful than Yu Tianheng? They haven't encountered any fighting souls in the actual combat class, Douluo Yin said. However, there was a two-person soul fighting a few days ago to compare the strength of the auxiliary soul masters. He is an auxiliary soul master, and he teamed up with Yu Tianheng and Yi Lingling. In the spirit battle, he and I won. Did you beat Yu Tianheng? Douluo was slightly shocked. Although he was proud of the jade phosphorus snake spirit, he still recognized the position of the blue electric Tyrannosaurus in the beast spirit, even if it was the jade phosphorus snake emperor spirit. Even if they can't defeat the blue electric Tyrannosaur spirit, how can the jade phosphorus snake defeat the blue electric Tyrannosaur alone? What's more, the healing power of Jushin Haitang's martial soul is so overbearing, and the combat power generated by Yi Lingling and Yu Tianheng forming a team is enough to achieve a leapfrog battle. Yin Yin, is the guy you were talking about a member of the Seven Treasure Glaze Tile sect? Douluo thought to himself. The only auxiliary martial spirit that can defeat the blue phosphorus snake spirit is the Seven Treasure Glaze Tile Tower. Bar. No, Douluo Yin said truthfully. He is a commoner who joined the academy with the title of top student. His name is Lu Bao. LV Bao. Douluo looked solemn. That name doesn't sound like a good person. I don't know if he's a good person or not. Anyway, he's a very annoying guy. When he thought of Soul Fighter Lu Bao using his shadow to strangle his neck, Douluo Yin suddenly felt resentment on his face. Grandpa, his martial spirit is a shadow. Have you ever seen this kind of martial spirit? Shadow. Douluo glanced at the shadow at his feet and thought about the direction in which the shadow martial soul could cultivate. He was silent for a moment and then said, shouldn't such a martial soul develop towards the control system like you? How can it be an auxiliary tie? It's not like you don't know. Being able to join the Tiando Royal Academy as an outstanding student proves that the Soul Master has a very unique talent. Recalling the sense of security he felt when he teamed up with Lu Baoyan to fight together, Douluo Yan's somewhat resentful face suddenly relaxed and said with a smile, LV Baoyan is not just an auxiliary Soul Master. He is also a control system. He can make teammates turn into a shadow and control your opponent's shadow at the same time. Titled Douluo's intuition does not arise out of thin air, but is derived from various details and his own experience. Listening to Douluo Yan's description, Douluo could already feel what was unique about the boy named Lu Bao. If the Shadow Martial Spirit assists the Jade Phosphorus Snake Martial Soul and allows the Jade Phosphorus Snake Martial Soul to defeat the Blue Electric Tyrannosaurus Rex, then it is enough to prove that the Shadow Martial Soul's auxiliary ability is definitely not inferior to the 7-treasure glazed tile pagoda. What's more, while assisting teammates, it can also control the enemy, taking into account the positions of both the auxiliary system and the control system on the battlefield. What makes a Soul Master with this kind of martial soul talent outstanding is probably not the martial soul itself, but the Soul Master's control of the battle situation. Shadow Martial Spirit. Douluo smiled with interest. Next time he goes to the academy to visit his granddaughter, he would like to see if this boy named Lu Bao is as outstanding as he imagined. Douluo Yan stretched out his hand towards Douluo. Give it to me. Douluo handed the remaining Rui treasure bag to Douluo Yan. Anyway, his Ring Soul Guide could store both living and dead objects. It would be a waste to keep another Rui treasure bag. It was better to let his granddaughter give it away. If you owe a favor, pay it back. If you lose, win it back. Douluo never likes to owe others favors, and he doesn't want his granddaughter to owe others anything. After receiving the wishful treasure bag, Douluo Yan felt inexplicably happy. She was very happy that she could complete the bet with Lu Baoli. At the same time, she was also very happy that she could help Lu Baoli. She could survive that failed experience and be able to master her soul power. Control, being able to easily change the attack method of the Jade Phosphorus Snake Venom Mist, all thanks to Lu Bao's enlightenment. Yin, from now on you should go home every day off. Douluo put his hands behind his back and smiled faintly. Didn't you say you want to win it back? Grandpa will teach you a stronger poison mixture, and then you will let the boy with the Shadow Martial Spirit experience the feeling of life being worse than death. Late at night. After finishing his experience at the Tiando auction house and returning to the academy from Tiando City, Lu Bao used his afternoon time to practice at the grassland mimicry field for a few hours. After dinner, I rested for 5 hours, then ran to the roof to practice under the moonlight. It was already late at night, and there was only moonlight on the roof of the boys' dormitory, as well as the shadows of various buildings and plants. Lu Bao was sitting cross-legged, closing his eyes and concentrating, holding a crystal ball in his hand. His soul power was continuously injected into the crystal ball. He had been practicing moonlight cultivation through the crystal ball for 2 hours. Suddenly, a light blue breath burst out from the body, forming ripples in all directions. The leaves around the dormitory were shaken and rustled by the strong soul power breath. Lu Baoyang was overjoyed. He persisted in practicing in the mimetic environment for more than a month, and his soul power finally improved again. It is now level 37 soul power. After the meditation, Lu Baoyan opened his eyes. What he saw was not the night scene, but Douluo Yan's green eyes. Yanzi. Lu Baoyan was already used to it. Ever since Douluo Yan found out that she secretly went to the rooftop to practice every night, she had been coming here to visit the class at this time. Seeing the helpless and disgusted expression on Lu Baoyan's face, Douluo Yan's smiling face suddenly turned serious. Lu Baoyan, what's your expression? If you think I'm disturbing you, I won't come here anymore. Lu Baoyan smiled and teased. I didn't force you to come here. Do you still have a conscience? If I had known, I wouldn't have asked my grandfather for this thing for you. As he spoke, Douluo Yan took off the blue brocade bag hanging on his waist and threw it to Lu Baoyan. Taking the blue brocade bag and looking at it carefully, Lu Baoyan recalled the experience of going to the Tiando auction house with Yu Lingling in the morning. At that time, he and Tao Bixiang competed for the 2 wishful treasure bags, but ended up falling into Douluo's hands. In Bo's hands, the blue brocade bag that Douluo Yin threw to Lu Haoli was one of the two wishful treasure bags, and the other one was hanging on Douluo Yin's waist. In other words, the two wishful treasure bags owned by Douluo Bo have been given away. One belongs to Douluo Yin, and the other belongs to himself. The original wishful treasure bag that Tang San got from Douluo Bo has been cut off by himself. Then, the next step is to intercept Tang San's opportunity to use the fairy grass. With the transformation of the fairy grass, it would be difficult for his own talent to be ordinary. Thinking of this, Lu Haoli's heart, which was already excited about the promotion of one level of soul power, became even more excited. Yinzi, thank you. They usually dislike each other and are used to hurting each other. Suddenly hearing Lu Haoli's grateful thank you, Douluo Yin was at a loss for a moment. Why are you thanking me? This is the bet between us. Now we don't owe each other anything. Now, I will go home and learn poison kung fu from my grandpa on my rest days. Lu Bao, just wait. Next time I fight the spirit, I will definitely win it back. Lu Bao put the wishful treasure bag into the ring's soul guide and tried his best to suppress the excitement in his heart. Now that we have the living creature storage soul guide to store the fairy grass, we have the confidence to pass through the poison array protection set up by Douluo Bo. Next, we only need to know when Douluo Bo is not in the sunset forest, and we can enter the ice and fire eyes to obtain the fairy grass unscrupulously. Lu Haoli looked at Douluo Yin with some surprise. Yinzi, what did you just say? Douluo Yin frowned. I said next time I fight the spirit, I will definitely win it back. Last sentence. Douluo Yin recalled what he had just said, and after a moment of silence, he said viciously, from now on, every day off, I will go home and learn poison skills from my grandfather. When I improve my poison skills, I will poison you to death. Lu Haoli smiled. Then you must pester your grandfather and let him guide you in your cultivation. You must not let him leave the house. You don't need to tell me that I will do the same thing. Douluo Yin said sternly. Lu Haoli, the day when you are defeated will not be too far away. Just wait. I will win back the 2 times I lost to you before. Lu Haoli smiled and nodded, thinking that since Douluo Bo was at home on his day off to guide Douluo Yin in practicing poisonous skills, he must not be in the Sunset Forest. He could go to the Sunset Forest on the next day off. Chapter 42 Sunset Forest. I will go home and learn poison kung fu with my grandpa on my rest days from now on. Lu Bao. The day you will be defeated will not be too far away. Just wait. I will win back the 2 times I lost to you before. This sentence was said by Douluo Yin when he gave the bag of wishful treasures to Lu Lianghua. What Lu Liangliang cared about was not whether Douluo Yin could win it back. What he cared about was that every day off from now on, Douluo Yin would go home and talk to Douluo Bo, learn poison skills. What does that mean? This means that every day off, Douluo Bo will stay at his home in Tiando City instead of practicing near the ice and fire eyes in the Sunset Forest. This means that you can choose to go to the Sunset Forest on your rest day, first find the poison array, and then enter the ice and fire eyes to obtain the fairy grass. Adhering to this idea, Lu Bao finally made it to the next rest day. Today, both students and teachers have free time. Yi Lingling carefully takes care of the various flowers and plants planted in the dormitory. Yu Tianheng, Osluo, Yu Feng, and Shimo went to those romantic places to have fun and enjoy the luxurious life of the nobles in the name of going to the big soul fighting arena. Douluo Yin returned home to Tiando City and studied poisonous arts with her grandfather Douluo Bo. It was just before Mao hour and the sun was rising. Lu Bao walked out of the gate of the college, grabbed a carriage, and rushed to the Sunset Forest near Tiando City. Sunset Forest entrance. The destination was finally arrived. Looking at the dense forest in front of him, Lu Haoli was very excited. He had been planning the fairy grass for nearly 2 months, and he might be able to see its true appearance today. Douluo Yin once said that her grandfather often practiced and developed poisons in a certain area deep in the Sunset Forest and rarely stayed at home. Biphosphorus snake venom emits a nauseating, dizzying fishy odor with a very special taste. During the 2 months of practical lessons, Lu Bao had paid attention to Douluo Yin's battles, so he was naturally familiar with the smell of jade phosphorus snake venom. As long as he reached the depths of the Sunset Forest, he should be able to smell the poisonous smell of jade phosphorus snake venom. the anti-poison pills obtained from Douluo, the anti-poison protective gear bought from the auction house, various potions for restoring physical strength and detoxifying, and tools for picking fairy grass. Everything was perfect. While checking the items stored in the soul guide ring, Lu Bao had already walked into the sunset forest and walked straight along a forest path. After using his second soul skill, Shadow Attack, Lu Baolon turned into a shadow and escaped to the surface. His speed increased by 50%, and he swam quickly towards the depths of the forest in a shadow state. The shadow state not only ignores terrain obstructions and is immune to physical attacks, but also has the effect of shielding breath and mental power detection. If you want to catch Lu Baoli, who has turned into a shadow, you can only use your excellent eyesight. However, the flashing black shadow made it impossible for the surrounding soul beasts to react. Even if some speed-type soul beasts found Lu Baoli walking fast on the ground in a shadow state, it would be difficult to hurt him, because the shadow state not only has a 50% speed boost, but also can freely shuttle through the shadow zone within 100 meters. Once caught up by the speed-type soul beast, Lu Baoli will shuttle to another shadow zone. In this way, not only can he jump 100 meters in an instant, but he can also get rid of the soul beasts that are chasing him. However, when staying in the Sunset Forest, one must pay attention to the consumption of soul power and physical strength. Otherwise, it is easy to be ambushed by the 10,000-year soul beast. Lu Bai's purpose was very clear. He kept moving as fast as he could and rushed to the depths of the Sunset Forest, relying on the vague smell of poison to find the direction of the jade phosphorus snake venom array. Sunset Forest is home to many poisonous spirit beasts, such as the man-faced demon spider, pink lady, dragon king scorpion, centipede king, etc. In the theoretical class, the Jillian Education Committee said that the attack methods of each poisonous soul beast are very different. Due to the different toxicity, the taste of their toxins is also different. The poisonous mist released by soul beasts like Pink Girl is usually pink in color and has a faint sweet smell in the poisonous mist. The poison of the man-faced demon spider comes from the sharp spider legs and is a corrosive poison and a neurotoxin. Fortunately, Lu Hao had fought in Douluo's jade phosphorus snake venom mist before, and had also taken an anti-venom pill condensed from jade phosphorus snake venom. He was very familiar with the jade phosphorus snake venom. The fishy smell he just smelled was definitely emitted by the jade phosphorus snake venom. Moving along the direction from which the fishy smell came, Lu Baoli continued to speed up, and after spending most of the day, he finally reached the depths of the forest and stopped at a place with high mountains and low valleys. Lu Baoli changed from his shadow state back to his human form and carefully looked at the movement in the valley. It was filled with mist, and the neighing of animals could be heard from time to time, giving people the feeling of being ambushed from all sides. What was revealed in front of them was not a forest, but a dark green poisonous mist covering the entire field of vision. This should be the jade phosphorus snake venom array set up by Douluo. The poison contained in the poison array is extremely powerful, because the darker the color and the more gorgeous something is, the more toxic it is. This kind of dark green poisonous mist that is clearly visible to the naked eye is enough to prove that the toxin content in the poisonous mist is absolutely very high. Once you enter the poisonous mist rashly, you will die in an instant. Lu Baoli activated his first soul skill, Shadow Locking, to lock onto the poisonous fog shadow within 100 meters. He discovered that the poisonous array covered a very wide area. Not only this area, but also all the mountains in front were protected by this poisonous array. The things hidden in the safe area of the poison array should be the herbs that Douluo worked hard to cultivate. This poisonous array covers a large area of the forest like a mask, making it impossible to fly through the poisonous array from the sky. After all, the poisonous array set up by Douluo was to prevent soul beasts or soul masters from entering his treasured land. If the protection of the poisonous array could be ignored from the sky, then what was the point of the poisonous array? If you dig a tunnel from the ground, you may be able to pass through the poisonous array safely, but you will always face the threat of soul beasts lurking underground, and the risk is even greater. After a while of analysis, the only way Lu Baoli could think of was to cross the poisonous formation from the front. Focusing his mental power on the front, Lu Haoli once again used his first soul skill, shadow locking, so that he could only lock on a range of 100 meters in radius instead of 300 meters in front. Within 300 meters in front, there is basically a strong green poisonous mist flowing, and the effective distance of shadow displacement is 100 meters. If you want to use the shadow displacement ability to instantly jump to a safe area within the poison array, you obviously have to enter the poison array. Just shorten the distance. Douluo said that the person who takes the anti-venom pill she condensed can remain unaffected by snake venom for half an hour in her Jade Phosphorus Snake Venom Mist. The Jade Phosphorus Snake and the Jade Phosphorus Snake King have different levels, but have the same poison. Taking her condenses the anti-poison elixir can also temporarily gain body resistance against the Jade Phosphorus Snake Emperor poison. Lu Haoli recalled what Douluo had said before and vaguely remembered that taking Douluo's anti-poison pill could only last for 1 minute at most in the poisonous mist released by her grandfather. The specific details depended on the intensity of the poison contained in the poisonous mist and whether it was there is a possibility of mixing poisons. Activating in the shadow state. I have a 50% speed increase and can swim 50 meters away in 1 second. If an anti-poison pill can allow me to persist in the poison array set by Douluo for 1 second, then I now have 2 anti-poison pills, which can barely last 3 seconds. Lu Haoli stared at the dark green poisonous mist in front of him with a solemn expression. He passed through the poisonous formation at the fastest speed in 3 seconds. He could shorten the distance by at least 200 meters. After entering the poisonous formation 200 meters, he was within 200 meters of the poisonous formation. There is only less than 100 meters of safe area left. In this way, you can exchange places with a stone in the safe area of the poison array and reach Douluo's medicine garden. Lu Haoli used the shadow lock to calculate the area covered by the poison array, as well as the effective time of anti-poison pills and antidote potions. After half an hour of careful calculation, he decided to take the risk. He first inserted a dagger tied with red thread outside the poison array, and then applied the anti-snake venom powder purchased at the auction house on his body. Once Douluo's anti-venom pills and these anti-snake venom medicines could not resist the snake venom infection in the poison array, Lu Haoli immediately locked the shadow of the dagger tied with red thread, and then escaped from the poison array in time through shadow exchange. After being fully prepared and taking the anti-poison pill, Lu Haoli finally plucked up the courage, turned into a shadow, and rushed into the dark green poisonous mist in front of him at extremely fast speed. The moment he entered the poisonous mist, countless dark green powdery poisonous particles instantly entered Lu Haoli's body. He was in a shadow state and could be immune to physical attacks, but he was not immune to poisoning and paralyzed these abnormal states. Fortunately, some weak toxins inhaled into the body were filtered by the soul power in time, and more toxins were offset by the anti-toxic constitution enhanced by the anti-poison pill, so the toxins could not attack. After the second, the effect of the anti-poison pill against the poisonous snake venom was obviously weakened. However, Lu Haoli could barely hold on for 1 more second and continued to take the last anti-poison pill, gaining another 2 seconds of persistence. The original plan was to cross the 200 meters of poisonous formation at extreme speed within 2 seconds, but now he had 4 seconds to completely cross the distance of 300 meters. The poisonous fog covered only 300 meters, and Lu Haoli was very happy. It seemed that he could pass through the poisonous fog unscathed. At the last moment when both anti-poison pills failed, Lu Haoli, who turned into a shadow, flew out from the other side of the poisonous mist and entered the safe area within the poison array. Transforming from the shadow state back into human form, Lu Haoli staggered to his feet and rushed out of the poisonous formation at the fastest speed. Fortunately, he did not hit a stone or hard object. Shake off the green powder attached to your clothes. The fallen powder will produce a pungent fishy smell that is nauseating. Shaking his head violently, Lu Haoli's slightly dazed consciousness finally regained consciousness, but an extremely pungent and unpleasant poisonous smell still remained on his body. Taking out a bottle of detoxification potion from the ring's soul guide, Lu Haoli took a few sips. The remaining toxins in his body were eliminated, and his consciousness gradually recovered. He instantly felt refreshed and refreshed. After cleaning all the remaining toxins from his body, Lu Bao's physical condition returned to normal. He glanced at the surrounding environment and finally saw the scene of the safe area inside the poison array. In the safe area inside the poison array, there are no toxins mixed in the air. Everything here is as safe as outside the sunset forest, and there is no threat from the venom of the jade phosphorus snake. Chapter 43 Ice and Fire Eyes in the safe area inside the poison array. There are no toxins mixed in the air. Everything here is as safe as outside the sunset forest, and there is no threat from the venom of the jade phosphorus snake. What lay before us was an eerie and strange area, with rock walls all around shaped like rocks. This place was not a sea area, but was as moist as a beach that had just experienced a low tide. There are many flowers and plants with bright colors and strange shapes growing on the rock wall. Lu Haoli turned into a shadow and escaped to the surface, slowly swimming forward to explore the surrounding terrain. There was no trace of the soul beast in the area protected by the poison array. Not even a trace of aura fluctuations could be detected. There are many plants growing on the ground, and there is nothing similar to a hot spring. This should not be near the Ice and Fire Eyes, but a place where Douluo cultivates herbal medicine. What Lu Bao was looking for was the fairy grass mentioned in the original work. Since he didn't understand poison, he would naturally not be hostile to the herbs cultivated by Douluo. Pass by the edges of these strange-looking plants on the ground and continue moving forward. Lu Baolon came to the foot of a mountain peak. The mountain peak blocking our eyes was hundreds of meters high, and it was impossible to tell how wide it was. If you want to continue moving forward, you must cross this mountain. Lu Baohai walked upstream along the stone wall in his shadow state and climbed up the 500-meter-high hill without even counting his breaths. After reaching the top of the mountain, he changed from his shadow state back to his human form. Standing on the hill, Lu Bao found that there was a forest on the other side of the mountain, a large, dense forest. Walking to the edge of the top of the mountain, there is an inverted cone-shaped mountain col in front of you. The top of the mountain where Lu Baohai was located was on the edge of the mountain kernel. Thick heat was rising from the mountain kernel. The heat was very humid and had a bit of the unique smell of sulfur. It's a hot spring. The eye of ice and fire is hidden at the foot of the mountain. Lu Haobao jumped off the cliff directly, and when he almost hit the ground, he immediately turned into a shadow and escaped to the surface. He lurked under the shadow of a certain stone in his shadow state, trying to find out what was going on ahead. There is a small hot spring in front. If you look closely, you will find that this hot spring is very strange. The oval-shaped pool is divided into two halves. One half is vermilion in color, and the other is milky white. What's even more strange is that although they are in the same pool, they are clearly separated from each other. They do not infringe on each other and always stay on one side, resembling the Tai Chi pattern of twins. As described in the original book, the hot springs for the twins should be the eyes of ice and fire. According to the original book, even Douluo could not withstand the blazing heat and extremely cold energy produced by the ice and fire eyes for too long. If you come into contact rashly, you will most likely be unable to withstand the impact of the two extreme spiritual energies, resulting in the risk of explosion and death. Lu Baohao returned to his human form, took out a dagger tied with red silk from the soul guide ring, and inserted it into the ground. The sun's rays penetrated the hazy fog and shone on the dagger, causing it to cast a shadow. Every 100 meters close to the eye of ice and fire, Lu Bao would insert a dagger like this on the ground. When his body was severely impacted by the hot and extremely cold air, he could use the shadow of the dagger to evacuate in time, thereby avoiding risk of death from explosion. After walking forward in the hazy mist for about 3 minutes, Lu Baohai was already less than 30 meters away from the two-dimensional hot spring. His body was not currently affected by the two extreme attributes of the aura released by the spring water, and everything was normal. Except for the mist that blurred the vision, there was no movement ahead. Safety. Lu Badai used his first soul skill, shadow locking, and the shadows of objects within 100 meters radius were clearly displayed in his mind. Even if the hazy water mist blocked his vision, he could still see what kind of objects existed around him by locking the shadows of objects. Continuing to move in the direction of the ice and fire eyes, Lu Bao could only feel that his heart was beating faster, and his heart was filled with excitement. The fairy grass that has been planned in Tiando Royal Academy for more than 2 months is now finally about to see its true appearance. How can one not be excited and excited? At a glance, Lu Bao found that there were all kinds of plants around the ice and fire eyes, in various shapes and forms. It looked like a plant paradise. The plants here were all rare and rare. After just a cursory glance, Lu Baoli was already stunned. Unfortunately, he currently has no knowledge of flowers and plants and cannot tell what the various plants here are and what their effects are. He could only know from the original work that the quality of any plant growing within the coverage of 2 extreme auras was basically above the level of genius treasure, which was extremely rare. There were about 10 plants of fairy grass that were described in detail in the original work. Lu Baoyang was looking for related plants while reviewing the plot in the original work where Tang San sent the fairy grass to Shrek's 7 monsters. At this moment, Lu Bao's eyes were attracted by a plant in front of him. It was a large pale pink flower with a stem 3 feet long. The flower was huge, with a full foot in diameter. Each petal looked as clear as crystal. We are still more than 10 meters away from the flower, but we can still smell the faint fragrance. The stamens are lavender, like purple diamonds inlaid there. Although the fragrance spreads far, it is not strong. The light fragrance is as moving as virgin body fragrance. Lu Baoyang's inner excitement gradually rose. Isn't the purple stamen plant that caught his eye the same as the fragrant Douluo fairy described in the original work? Yoxiang Douluo Immortal Product. The original book said that this immortal product is the nemesis of hundreds of poisons and has the effect of neutralizing all toxins. It itself cannot detoxify, but it can overcome poison. Even Douluo Bo's Jade Phosphorus Snake Emperor poison is nothing more than a joke in front of the Yoxiang Douluo Immortal. The purple stamen plant, exuding a faint fragrance in front of you, is the best antitoxic herbal medicine in the world, a fragrant Douluo fairy product, a peerless thing bred from the eyes of ice and fire. With this fairy grass, Lu Bao can plan how to use it to trade with Yang Wudi of the Paklan and exchange the Yoxiang Douluo fairy for the technology of refining medicine and poisoning. After learning about various flowers, plants, and poisons, come back and collect all the genius treasures, as well as the fairy grass not mentioned in the original work. If everything goes well, Lu Haoli will be the person with the most abundant cultivation resources on the entire continent. However, if you want to do business with a broken clan, you must make all kinds of preparations like planning for fairy grass. When trading with a strong person without strength and background, you must be extremely cautious. Lu Baoli put aside all illusions about the future. All he needed to do now was to find the fairy grass mentioned in the original work as soon as possible and collect them. You must know that ordinary soul masters cannot stay for too long under the impact of the 2 spiritual energies produced by the 2 eyes of ice and fire. Otherwise, they will always face the danger of exploding and dying. For the jelly grass mentioned in the original book, Lu Bao couldn't remember the specific picking methods. He vaguely remembered that special tools were needed to pick the 2 jelly grasses of ice and fire. He never thought that he would time travel or be transported to Douluo continent. It's a blessing to be able to remember the characteristics of those fairy grasses. Fortunately, Lu Bao was prepared. Regardless of the method of picking flowers and plants, he took out a shovel from the Ring Soul Guide and directly dug out the Yoxiang Douluo Immortal product with the roots and soil, and then stored the Yoxiang Douluo Immortal product in the hanging on his waist. In the bag of wishful treasures, the advantage of the Rui Baobang is that it can provide the living conditions required by living creatures. If you put the grass jelly with the roots and soil inside, the grass jelly can still grow. Later, you can pick the grass jelly and transplant its roots back to Binghua. The edges of the 2 eyes can be recycled. His eyes continued to scan the surrounding plants. Near the edge of the hot spring, Lu Bao found another fairy grass mentioned in the original work. It was a red, quivering, soft, and silky fairy grass. It looked very simple, just composed of red grass leaves. The top of the grass blade is like a cock's crown, and the veins are red gold. The name of this fairy grass immediately appeared in Lu Bao's mind: coxcomb phoenix sunflower. The original book said that coxcomb phoenix sunflower is a herb that greatly nourishes pure yang and can greatly enhance the soul power of the user. Ma Hongjun took this substance, which not only made his phoenix power purer, but also increased his soul power and turned into a real phoenix. While reviewing the description in the original work, Lu Baohai took a shovel to the place where the coxcomb and phoenix sunflowers grew. He lifted the shovel and dropped it, and a mud pit the size of a human head appeared on the ground. The coxcomb phoenix sunflower was dug up with its roots and soil and put into a wishful treasure bag. Lu Baoluo inserted the shovel into the ground and wiped the sweat from his forehead forced by the hot air. At this moment, he recalled the rural life when he was a child on Douluo Star. A group of children ran into other people's fields to dig up the crops that others had worked hard to grow. If you are caught, your legs will be broken, right? Fortunately, Douluo is currently at his home in Tiando City, instructing Douluo in practicing poisonous skills. With Douluo's character, she will definitely pester Douluo, so there is no need to worry about Douluo suddenly appearing near the ice and fire eyes. This is the benefit gained from spending more than 2 months in Tiando Royal Academy. Not only has the soul power been increased by 2 levels, but also Douluo's whereabouts can be known at any time through Douluo, allowing him to obtain the fairy grass more safely. Looking at the plant paradise in front of him, each plant was exuding bright brilliance and alluring scent. Lu Bao coveted them, but he didn't know their specific medicinal effects. I'm afraid Douluo also feels helpless. He knew clearly that the peerless fairy grass was hidden in his treasure land, but he didn't dare to take it because he didn't know its efficacy. No matter what, just dig up the soil with all the roots. When the family finishes learning about flowers and plants, won't they know their medicinal effects and picking methods? With her knowledge of flowers and plants, Yi Lingling is also familiar with things like planting flowers and grass. If she asks her for advice then, she might be able to hybridize or graft the dug roots to develop a fairy with better medicinal effects. The grass is planted again. Thinking of this, Lu Baolu revealed all his greed that had been hidden for a long time. Whenever he passed by, he would dig up the roots of the plants there. In the hazy water mist, blue lights flashed one after another. This is the blue light that flashes when soul power is injected into the Rui treasure bag. Lu Bao focused on the shadows of various plants and dug out the fairy flowers and plants or genius treasures growing around the ice and fire eyes one by one, and put them all into the Rui treasure bag. 8-petal fairy orchid. Look through the autumn dew. Kiluo tulip. Lovesickness is red. Narcissus jade muscles and bones. 9th grade Ziji. All the jelly grass mentioned in the original work have been included in the Rui Bao. This feeling of harvest is very similar to the pleasure of stealing vegetables from QQ Farm. It is so exciting that I can't stop at all. Lu Baoyong became even more excited when his eyes fell on a huge chrysanthemum. The chrysanthemum was a magnificent purple color, and every petal looked fluffy and extremely cute. The top of the stamen shone with a faint golden light. The original book has a detailed description of this golden chrysanthemum. It is said that the martial spirit of a titled dual elder in the spirit hall is exactly this golden chrysanthemum. The amazing babblegrass. This should be the last fairy grass I know. I'll stop after this one. Thinking in his heart, Lu Baohai had already picked up the shovel and walked towards the golden chrysanthemum. With the hand shoveled down, a mud pit was dug out in the ground. After the blue light flashed, this strange antler-stricken chrysanthemum with roots and soil was included in Rui's treasure bag. I have already obtained all the fairy grasses I know, and I have also dug up some of the genius treasures I don't know. Next, it is time to consider whether to take those 2 ice and fire fairy grasses now. Lu Baoli's eyes fell on the center of the ice and fire eyes, where 2 herbs with completely opposite effects grew, namely the star anise ice grass and Liehua Xingjiashu. Chapter 44, Refining the Body with Ice and Fire. The second awakening of the shadow martial spirit P. I have already obtained all the fairy grasses that I know, and some of the genius treasures that I don't know have been dug up. Next, it is time to consider whether to pick those two ice and fire fairy grasses now. Lu Haoli's eyes fell on the center of the ice and fire eyes, where there was a white medicinal herb at the center of one side of the extremely cold ice spring. The top of the white herb looks like a large white flower, octagonal in shape, with stamens shining like ice crystals in the center. The original book mentioned that this thing is called star anise, a strange cold flower that can make the heart feel chilly and the central nervous system numb. The air conditioning within 10 meters of these celestial herbal medicines will be overwhelming, but if the time is longer, the cold poison will attack the heart, and there is no cure. To take it off, you must use something of gold or iron. In the center of the blazing Yanchuan, there is also a plant that looks like a cabbage and is red in color, named fiery apricot jiaoshu. The effect of fiery apricot jiaoshu is exactly the opposite to that of star anise ice grass, but it cannot be cut with metal. It must be picked with jade without losing its effectiveness. These two immortal products are top-notch, highly toxic herbs, containing the ultimate fire poison and the ultimate cold poison, respectively. Once they are picked, the toxicity of the two herbs will be greatly reduced after the breaths meet each other, and they must be taken within 10 breaths. Efficient. Otherwise, their effectiveness is completely lost. If you pick the star anise ice grass and fiery apricot jiaoshu now, it means you must take them, and then use the ice and fire eyes to complete the absorption of the effects of the fairy herbs. It will take a while to jump into the ice and fire eye to absorb the effects of the immortal herbs. If you are unlucky and Douluo comes back, it will be the end. After thinking for a moment, the confused look in Lu Haoli's eyes suddenly faded, and he stared firmly at the two ice and fire fairy grasses in the center of the two springs of the ice and fire eyes. Join the Tiando Royal Academy. Get close to Douluo, understand the venom of the jade phosphorus snake, and what is the purpose of planting the fairy grass for more than 2 months. In order to enter the ice and fire eyes with the help of the two springs, he can absorb the medicinal effects of the star anise ice grass and the fiery apricot, thereby causing earth-shaking changes in the shadow martial spirit and his own physique. Now that these two fairy grasses are right in front of you, how could you give up taking them? Because you are afraid of being bumped into by Douluo. A look of determination flashed in Lu Haoli's eyes. No matter whether he would be caught by Douluo or not, he would take star anise ice grass and fiery apricot jiaoshu now, and then jump into the ice and fire eyes to practice. With immunity to both water and fire, a physique that is invulnerable to all poisons, plus the anti-poison herb Yoshiang Kiluo Xianpin, combined with the displacement ability of the shadow martial spirit, he should be able to escape safely from Douluo. If nothing else works, he will shamelessly rely on his teammate relationship with Douluo in exchange for a chance to survive. With this relationship and the secret of the fairy grass as a guarantee, Douluo should not kill himself. After ensuring that he had enough capital to face the threat of Douluo, Lu Haoli resolutely walked towards the extremely cold spring water. Taking a step forward, a chill came to my face. Taking another step, Lu Haoli's cheek was...
No more novels? Take part in the voting. The most requested novels and those with the most likes will be chosen for publication on euroaudiobooks.com. There, I can upload as much as I want without the risk of receiving a strike. Our 18 novels and other content that exceed what is morally acceptable are only published on Patreon or the free novels page. Remember, the site is funded by donations on Ko-fi and Patreon memberships.